Hello, Fermented Folks.
We have 𝘔𝘰𝘭𝘪𝘯𝘨𝘴.
𝘔𝘰𝘮𝘦𝘴𝘵.
We have Travis Baldry.
Today we have a really special guest, 𝘕𝘦𝘴𝘵𝘮𝑦𝑡.
Are you reeling it in and defending clowns?
I am. Earth doesn't even exist in Battlestar Galactica.
This show me heartburn. I was like, I loves it, I hate it.
It's called All Fluff.
Oh!
If you didn't know how I actually feel about The Mandalorian,
Don't worry,
this is it right here.
Hello, Fermented Folks, and welcome to another episode of Fermented Fiction, the show where we drink beer together and argue about the best shows, books, movies in the genre fiction realm with our distinguished guests. Said distinguished guest tonight is Nat Cassidy, author of Mary, Nestlings, When the Wolf Comes Home, and his new book, I Know a Place, among many other awesome stories. Nat, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Hello. Thank you for having me. That's a very intimidating opening credits that you have, appropriate to our discussion tonight. Yeah, I got to follow 𝘔𝘰𝘭𝘧 and Travis Baldry and 𝘕𝘦𝘴𝘵. Man, what am I doing here?
Yes, good luck.
Hey man, you are well among that echelon, and I think we all know that. All of us are fans of your work here on the show. I'm a huge fan of your work. You may not remember this, but you're the first author I met at my first StokerCon. I met you in the bathroom, and I looked at your name tag, and I was like, holy shit, you're Nat Cassidy.
This was between you and me.
I thought you had a gentleman's agreement, Clay.
I never shook on that, you know. I mean, we had just been at the urinal and everything, so shaking was uncouth, but like we didn't shake. That's all I'm saying.
That's true. That's true. At least not hands.
At least not hands. Yeah, exactly. Nat, thank you so much for being on the show, man.
Well, what an honor to hold that esteemed position in your life story. I will treasure that and put it on a shelf with any other bona fides.
It's all yours, pal. It's all yours. Maybe Jeremy can 3D print you an appropriate trophy. And Fermented Folks, thanks for being here with us yet again for another episode of this ridiculous show. We really appreciate you following along. Tonight we're going to be debating Death Note, the anime series, not that abominable movie. And we are the usual stooges, Clay and Travis Vermolum and Jeremy Hudson. We're going to go around, do our personal updates like we always do. So let's start with you, Travis, since we did Jeremy first last night. What's going on?
Well, I, as you all know, I don't know how to put this correctly. I've tried to phrase it before. I finish things that I start. And I called it a serial finisher once, and that just sounds really wrong. so
especially
I'm not,
given how he opened up the episode. Yeah. So it's John Wayne Gacy. He always finishes.
Exactly. So I like to finish media mostly that I like, because I don't feel like I can honestly critique anything unless I've seen it through. A couple things have broken me of that, but for the most part I stick to that. Today I finished 2 books that I've been trying to read in small bites for like a year and a half. And so it was a good feeling to be done with those, wipe my hands, write the scathing Goodreads review, and move on.
That's the spirit.
That is the spirit. Yep. You did it. And since the reviews were scathing, we'll just go ahead and not talk about what books those may or may not have been.
They were
but I'm
Mary
glad you got
and
through
Nestlings
them.
by Nat.
Yeah.
Funny enough.
Yeah.
I've heard worse, Travis.
No, they were both nonfiction. So, yeah.
There you go. That shouldn't offend any of the viewers on the show. So that's good. That's good. This is a fiction show here. We're friends of fiction. Jeremy, how about you?
Well, me and my wife are fast getting ready for my in-laws to come visit for my wife's dad's birthday. And I have been requested to bake a cake and make some ice cream, because that's the only things those people trust me to make. So
this is Jeremy's lot in
life. Palates. Yeah. I'm the bakery guy now. I bake. Okay.
That's a good It's not a bad life.
Yeah, just like Baker
Yeah.
Mayfield, you're out there baking. Everybody appreciates it.
Let
Yeah.
him bake.
Let him bake. Let him do it. Jeremy gets voluntold to bake a cake for any family gathering anytime they happen. If you're a new viewer to the show, this is something you'll hear again around Christmas, around Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
around
Thanksgiving, you'll
any
hear
other
how
holiday.
many pies I've been volunteered to bake. So stay tuned. It's going to get wild.
He's a selfless man, our Jeremy, and we appreciate him for that. We love him for it, really.
You just say, let them eat cake, and they do.
Which
Yeah.
actually wasn't
That's something
Marie,
you can
Marie
say.
Antoinette, but
No, it was me.
Sorry.
Just
I'm a nerd.
while we were talking.
Are you doing an actually?
I'm
right
done.
now to
I'm
us?
done. Nope. There was no actually. It was more just a fun fact because he didn't even
My
mention Marie
statement
Antoinette.
didn't even have a bibliography, Travis.
It didn't.
Cite your
I just
sources,
couldn't
Jeremy.
help-
If you don't want
couldn't
Travis
help
to come
myself.
after you.
Absolutely not.
Nat, we appreciate your patience, buddy. Thanks for being on the show. This is what we do here at Fermented Fiction. We ferment some fiction. I am also have a family event coming up. I'm actually going to see Travis in just a couple days. Shout out to my cousin Caitlin. She's tying the knot this weekend. So yeah, really excited for
Mazel
her.
tov.
Mazel tov. We're going to go enjoy this will be my third Catholic wedding. The other two are courtesy of the other two men on screen here.
Hey.
Certainly wasn't my choice of wedding. But yes, I appreciated both of yours, and I believe Caitlin's is going to be substantially longer. So I'm going to get the
boy.
real Catholic wedding experience. The whole lengthy one is what I've been
That's so long.
Yours wasn't that long, Trav.
I don't think it should be much different than ours. Like,
No.
they're never too bad.
Okay, good.
people
Because
over-exaggerate.
it's been hyped up to me, and I was like,
Now,
I don't know.
baptisms and confirmations, those shits are for
Those, yeah, those can take,
that's
like, oh,
that's hard.
I assume no one's getting baptized unless y'all got a surprise for me.
No.
But I don't think that's how that works. So
No.
I mean, we dunk you in the holy water, but it'd start to sizzle, so.
yeah, exactly. It's nice of the church to let me over the threshold in the first place. I do like to live deliciously. So let's get to living deliciously here on Fermented Fiction with Nat Cassidy. Nat, can you introduce the fermented folks out there, who you are, what you do, where they can find you, and maybe tell us something cool going on in your life right now?
I certainly can try. Hello, Fermented Folks. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Nat Cassidy, author of the aforementioned scathingly reviewed Mary and Nestlings, and also When the Wolf Comes Home. And I'm a novelist and former playwright and actor. And that's the long and short of it. And I've got a short story collection called I Know a Place, Rest Stop and Other Dark Detours, which is coming out May 5th, wherever books are sold. It's being released by Shortwave Publishing and distributed by Simon & Schuster. So it will be available wherever you get your books, trade, audio. And even if you don't want to read my stories, you might want to pick it up if you're a Stephen King fan, because he is very, very astoundingly graciously written the introduction to this collection. So even if you don't like my work, you got to pick it up for him, right?
That's
Do
amazing.
it for him. Come on.
Absolutely. That's one of his latest pieces right there.
No collection will be complete without it.
Oh,
Exactly.
Very true. That's awesome, Nat.
Also-
Well, congratulations on the recognition
Thank you.
there, and I'm excited to read it. I've read Nestlings was the first book I read of yours, and I absolutely loved it. And I was a big fan of When the Wolf Comes Home too. It was a weird
you.
take on that monster. You did it was very not what we expected, so it was a great job.
Thank
Yeah,
you very
it was a
much.
lot of
Thanks
fun.
for reading.
Nat, I love that you have one. You mentioned your acting, and I was looking through your IMDb before the show, and I love like the roles you've had in so many of the television shows. And you've been on one of the things that I haven't finished yet because I keep hovering over it. The last 2 seasons I'm struggling with, and that's Blue Bloods.
Oh yeah.
More seasons of Blue Bloods, and I lost some steam.
There's a lot of blood to blue in that show.
You gotta
that
blue all
I,
of it.
I am a frequent bad guy of the week. I play primarily dirtbags on network procedural shows, and Blue Bloods was one of my most detestable white supremacist murderers that I've played, because I have played multiple. It's something about this facial hair.
Yeah,
I'm a very nice Jewish boy, and yet I keep getting cast as Nazis.
You do look like someone who, you know, just if you muss up your hair a little and put you in a raggedy vest, like you could have crawled out of a Mississippi swamp or something.
I have worn so many raggedy vests. You know, like, I'm constantly wearing like fucking fleece and like puffy vests that have been distressed.
Ooh, yeah.
So you nailed it, Clay.
I love it.
Yeah, PNW chic, but with a rough side. I like it.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, that's hilarious. And let's get into something, you know, let's talk about a bit of supremacy, a bit of a god complex, if you will.
Yeah. Anti-hero action.
Yeah, absolutely. If you can even say hero. We've got Death Note coming at you, folks. Now, if you don't know the premise of Death Note, it is the story of Light Yagami. He is a young man who finds a book outside of his school, and it just says Death Note on it. He picks it up, starts looking through it, and he is sort of your typical anime hero protagonist, who he's a kind of a wonderkin. He's sort of a boy genius. His dad's a police chief, and he's got this strong sense of justice. He sees a lot of injustice in the world, and he always has wanted to find a way to correct it. Well, now that he has this book called Death Note, he meets a Shinigami, which is a god of death, from Japanese folklore, and it tells him how to use the Death Note, which is write a name in it, and that person will die. All you have to do is have their name in your head and write the name, and then they die of a heart attack unless you otherwise specify a cause of death. Light Yagami goes on to watch the news for a few days and just start murdering everybody that he perceives as worthy of dying. And that quickly, obviously, attracts the attention of multiple international police forces and law enforcement agencies, one of which is L's task force. L is another wonderkin who goes head-to-head with Light Yagami, starts hunting him down, and he is a fellow super genius who has solved all the biggest cases. He's sort of a anime version of Sherlock Holmes, and he's coming after Light. So then you have L versus Light in this epic showdown of cat and mouse that lasts 36 fucking episodes. Now, Nat, are you ready to debate this thing? Are you ready to roll some dice?
I'll give it my all.
Hell yeah. So
this
if you
is
don't
a
know
show
how...
about conflict and argument, so we're gonna do it justice.
Absolutely.
Right.
If you don't know how Fermented Fiction works, the high roll defends, the low roll attacks. No matter what we actually think, then we'll talk about what we actually think after the 10-minute debate. So let's roll them shits. You ain't going.
Did you get a nat 20, Clay?
I got a 20.
You did?
You
Yeah,
got a 20?
Oh shit!
Yeah, nat
Two
20.
20s?
Two 20s.
Oh, God.
buddy,
This is like
that's-
season 1 of Death Note right here.
that's
Ellen
definitely
White,
right there.
no one can
Ellen
win.
White.
We're so evenly matched.
Which of you
All
is
right.
justice?
Do it again.
All right. That's substantially less good. I got I got 11 this time.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Did you get 11? No,
No.
fucking way!
Bro.
Oh my god.
All
How
right.
do we
Okay.
do this now?
I say we elect champions.
Oh,
Elect
okay.
champions, you say?
Nat, you
I
get first pick.
who do you want to roll for you, Nat, out of Travis or Jeremy?
Well, Jeremy's eyebrow action is pretty impressive, so I think I got to go with that.
I trust my brother.
Excellent.
Travis, roll for me.
Do you
All
want high risk, high reward dice?
Yes.
All right.
Ooh,
All right, I'm counting on you, Jeremy.
bold move. Equally
I mean,
bold
what you
move,
got?
really.
Bake me something good.
Well, hey, what we have here is a 19.
That's pretty good.
15.
Nice. All right.
Bam!
Well thought. Well thought.
There we go.
That was the
believe
most
that.
intense dice
Guys,
rolling
that's
action we've
insane.
ever
That
had.
was crazy.
Insane. All right.
Nice.
I think I peed a
Gentlemen.
little.
I know I did.
Clayton, you will have to tear apart Death Note, which means, Nat, you're going to be starting us off with the affirmative position. You will have 10 minutes for the whole debate, not each. You do not have to take the whole time and filibuster. So share the time, but also, hits below the belt are allowed. We don't mind if you get a little nasty in there. Is everybody ready?
I am.
Get out of here. And I will get out of here soon.
Okay.
In 3, 2, 1.
All right, Clay. It's you and me. Well, what can we say about the 2006, 2007 anime Death Note, which is widely considered to be the one of, if not the greatest animes of all time. And the reason that is considered that is for the simple fact that it fucking is. It rules. It's brilliant. It's intellectual. It is a cat and mouse, as you have already described it so ably. It is one of those fundamentally satisfying stories that goes straight back to Shakespeare. It goes straight back to Greek theater. It is the pitting of two incredibly worthy opponents against each other. It is as high drama as you could wish high drama to be. These characters are well wrought. They are perfectly defined. They are brilliant. They are more brilliant than the audience itself. So we are constantly not ahead of the action. We are as surprised and delighted by the twists and turns as an audience can be. It is wrestling with complex morality, with a character arc that is worthy of Walter White. When we begin with a kind of well-meaning but narcissistic student who then becomes rather quickly a force of destruction until he, in a Macbethian turn, because of his hubris, winds up writing his own destruction, but not before some of the most dramatically satisfying conclusions to rivalries that I can remember in long form storytelling. It's beautifully art directed. The voice acting is fantastic. You have not one, but two of the most kick-ass theme songs a TV show has ever had. That second one is like System of a Down, like kicking down your door and saying, I'm going to record you a fucking theme song to your goddamn amazing anime. And not only that, if that weren't enough, if you weren't just satisfied by, the brilliant complexities of what is effectively a chess game performed by two master chess players, you factor into this an introduction of a supernatural element that makes it all the more satisfying for fans of speculative and genre fiction. The entire introduction of the Shinigami realm and characters of Ryuk and the other Shinigamis, who are all not only beautifully designed, but hilarious and fun. They're addicted to apples. They fall in love with mortals. Like, again, we are dating back to Homeric intensity and Homeric perfection. We have got Olympus and the beaches outside of Troy. Like, this is as classic as storytelling can get, and yet it is perfectly brought into the modern era. I find I have, what is this, 36, 37 episodes. I've watched it at least 3 or 4 times. I've read the manga multiple times. It's a lot of content to engage with, and it's you can only do that with content that is worthy of that level of engagement. And I guess I'll turn it over to you to see, what nits you want to pick for Death Note.
There are so many nits, and they are blatantly exposed upon the sweater, the tapestry that is this horrendous, blasphemous splattering of a show onto my television for 36 fucking episodes that I just was forced to sit through for this episode. But I did it, damn it, so I could come to this episode and debate you, Nat Cassidy, so I'm ready to do that. Perhaps the only hubris equal to lights on display tonight is yours in comparing this to Shakespeare. How ridiculous of a notion that is. Well, I guess I could see the comparison a little bit in that Shakespeare might have overstayed his welcome in writing a million plays, where this has way too many fucking episodes. A typical problem in animes. They often go too long. There's several filler episodes, but this one in particular, I would agree with you that it is a great story, this chess match, this cat and mouse, neo-noir, supernatural thriller horror story between two people, if that's what it actually was, but it's not. It falls victim to my biggest pet peeve in anime, the biggest like trope that I hate more than anything, because it destroys the tension, it destroys the ending, it destroys the stakes for the entire show. It's when L gets killed, and then he was replaced by a younger carbon copy of L. It's the most ridiculous thing. It happens in anime far too often for my liking. I'm reminded of the Digimon movie, where that is blatantly like two movies copy and pasted together. They had a character that they clearly didn't want to redesign, so they were just like, yeah, I know that character looks, they literally say it, I know he looks exactly like me. Don't worry about that. He's my brother. This felt exactly like that. It was like we needed to create like false tension towards the near end of this story. We had to have a fake victory, that typical story structure there. So we're going to kill L and manufacture this tension that frankly didn't need to be manufactured. They had plenty of it. And they younger L clone that I assume is his son, but isn't really explained. Maybe he's literally his fucking clone. That would make more sense. Maybe he's L from the future, L from the past, coming back and doing like a Trunks thing. I don't know what he's doing, but it's the dumbest shit of all time. And there's no satisfaction in that because I don't care about this new character. I cared about L. And you killed him, which could have been cool too. Like, if you're going to introduce that there is this other second level of the task force that L works with, go ahead and seed that throughout the show and like show me that that might be coming. And then I would have bought it. But I have a feeling that like they wrote one season and they got approved for a second season. And then they had to like shoehorn this in there because they didn't have enough fucking material. That's what it felt like to me. It felt like Dragon Ball Z post the Frieza saga. They killed Frieza and they're like, oh, people like this show. It turns out we got to keep going for like a million seasons. So now we got to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And I hate that. I always hate that. And especially the carbon copy thing. It's just like, why? Like, make a new character. Make an interesting character. You had two of them. The other two members of the SPK or whatever the task force is called were interesting. I'm drawing a blank on their names, but the guy who becomes Kira X and then the guy who gets burned up in the explosion and ends up killing Light's dad, those characters are interesting. But like, why can't we just have them? Why do we need carbon copy of L? If you need L to stay in the story, then just leave L in the fucking story because that's who we actually cared about. And that would have been so much more interesting. It would have been such a more satisfactory ending. And then my other most annoying anime trope that frankly I find it insulting is Misa's character, like the obnoxious, obsessive, like adolescent woman who's just obsessed with the main character, and that's her whole character. Frankly, I find it insulting. She's the only, like, one of the only women in the show, other than Takeda. And Takeda's a pretty good character, but like Misa is that one trope, and she is the majority of female screen time in the show, and I just feel like it's kind of a slap in the face. Like, there's no feminine representation in this series. It makes it feel really misogynistic, and it was pretty hard to watch, frankly. Hard to rewatch it when looking at it through that lens.
First of all, Clayton.
Yes, sir.
All due respect. The lack of media literacy on display here is stunning and probably should not be surprising given that you are more familiar with the inner workings of Digimon than the canon of William Shakespeare, who only wrote 37 plays, mind you, not a million plays. We should be so lucky if he wrote a million plays, but he only wrote 37, which is, appropriately enough, the number of episodes that this anime has. Is that a coincidence? I think not. But
I think that just strengthens my argument.
Withdrawn. A fake victory. Nay, my friend. This is absolutely a well-earned victory. Yes, I understand that people like to, speaking of clones, they like to complain about the near and mellow additions in the latter third of the runtime. But it is clearly established that Light came from an orphanage that has been trying to train super geniuses and turn them into the greatest detectives of all time. And 𝘞𝘰𝘭𝘧 and 𝘕𝘏𝘴 both were just other orphans from that orphanage. And that is a John Wickian amazing world detail that I love every time I revisit it. Do they get as much screen time as they deserve? No, but that's also in the manga. They have a lot more time. Elle actually dies in the middle of the manga instead of around 2/3 point. So they had to compress the 𝘞𝘰𝘭𝘧 and 𝘕𝘏𝘴 storyline. So I will grant you it's not as fleshed out as it could be.
If they'd have actually been real characters, it would have been effective.
Oh, there's enough there for you to hang
All
on.
right.
Cool it.
Done. We're done.
Thank God I did not have to defend Misa.
You were about to get there.
I love that I could save you with the timer. Saved by the bell. He did not have to defend Misa. Okay.
I was just playing a part.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, you're correct. I am probably the least culturally literate on this podcast. Maybe right there with Jeremy.
I don't know about that.
Thank you. All right.
Okay.
Me and Jeremy were tied.
It is time for us to drink some drinky drinks if we have them, and talk about some fun facty facts. So Jeremy, what you got for your drinky drink?
Well, for my drinky drink. Well, it is a staple in the Hudson household when we want to sit around and talk smart, which is, frankly, most of Death Note. I'm doing a gin and tonic with a gin that I wish I had yesterday, which is Monkey 47.
Nice.
That would have been so perfect, but
Every
hey,
time
that's all right.
Somebody dies.
Every single time. So yeah.
Clay.
Oh well.
Oh wait, he's coughing. I'm gonna go to. Oh, you back?
Yeah, I'm boring. I'm super sick, so I'm just drinking jasmine tea.
All right. I'm more boring. I'm drinking fucking rain. Just water. No alcohol.
Happy Lent.
A couple more weeks. Happy Lent. Nat, what did you bring to the show today?
I was led to believe this would just be all beer all the time.
Yeah.
I'm also drinking tea.
Nice.
But depending on how the conversation goes, I also have this non-alcoholic electro lime near beer because I have passed the beer drinking age. I love beer. I especially love a good sour. But nothing makes me more hungover than a single beer now that I'm in my mid 40s. I'm ruined for the next day. So I'm not going to do that to myself. But it's a good, what is it? Best Day Brewing. It's called.
Nice. I like Best Day. They're a good NA company. I do them pretty often as well because I typically don't keep beer in my house anymore. Try to drink more intentionally these days, and Best Day is one of my go-tos.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Shout out to them.
Shout out to them.
There's so much good NA stuff now. Like we're living in a golden age of non-alcoholic options, which I'm very grateful for.
If you
it's
just
really
like
nice.
The taste, but don't want to get drunk.
Yeah,
it's very nice. Or hungover, as Nat said. So you're right. We're in a golden age of that. All right, folks. I got some trivia. If anyone has stuff that I don't mention, jump in, please. After I'm done with my 10, I'll try and count them accurately this time. I think I only did 9 yesterday. That's okay.
Hey, I believe in you.
Here's one that I don't know how to feel about, but it's also super interesting and cool that they played with this. The original theme, one of the 2 themes that Nat mentioned in his debate, is a sort of variation chant. The lyrics are a variation chant on the prayer Kyrie eleison, which is Greek for Lord have mercy. And I say it all the time, which is kind of cool. But I'm also, wild. Light, Yagami, and L.
There you go.
Very representative as opposites, even to the point that Light uses a PC and L uses a Macintosh, which is also stacking a fact onto that is Apple does not allow any of their products to be used by villains. It's in the contract that if you use an Apple product in a movie or a TV show, it can't be used by a villain. And Rian Johnson in the Knives Out trilogy has played with that tremendously. In Glass Onion, he kind of like plays with the audience expectations where I'm forgetting the actor. Edward Norton's character has Apple products, but he never touches them on screen. If you go back and watch again, every time he like hands a character an iPad or he like talks about an iPhone, his hand is like out of the frame like this. And then you'll see the good guy holding the thing. And like, so Ryan Johnson really is good at kind of getting around that. And in the third Knives Out, Josh Brolin like very deliberately uses an iPhone. So yeah, it's kind of fun to watch people that know that you cannot have a villain use an Apple product per their contract.
Oh, the irony.
And they use an Apple product as a weapon, though.
I don't know. I doubt it because they can't even touch it. So probably not.
So you couldn't bludgeon a villain to death with a MacBook?
If the hero's holding it, probably yes. As long as it's a good guy using it as a weapon.
This screen really is shatterproof. It's no quality.
Man, this aluminum body just won't quit.
The battery hasn't died yet. Exactly. Death Note initially began as a manga pilot one-shot chapter centered around a 13-year-old boy named Taro Kagami and also had a death eraser in its story. This allowed a Death Note user to bring a person they killed with the notebook back to life by erasing their name.
Interesting.
Which would have been very interesting. L's real name is 𝘔𝘠𝘧. I think I'm saying that.
Oh.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Duh.
So there you go.
You didn't know? We all knew.
Light's last name, Yagami, is written with the kanji for night and god. So a lot of intentionality with names here.
Mm-hmm.
This show has been attempted to be banned in one country and actually banned in another. Russia banned it. I'm not going to tell that whole story. It's really sad. There was a suicide. The second one, though, China banned it because they had such a fluctuation of teenagers making their own Death Note copies, and like they'd find them everywhere with their friends and their parents and their teachers' names like written in them. And so China was like, yeah, we gotta stop this and banned Death Note. And
Gotta get a handle on that.
Kids writing names in notebooks. That's just
they were like, hey, here's my burn book, but it means it's dead. Okay, what am I at? I think I'm at 6. Oh, this is kind of cool. I'm going to mix 2 facts from IMDb. There's 2 animes where Light or L or one of the characters from Death Note show up in a background scene. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the first one. 𝘰𝘰𝘭𝘧𝘊𝘰𝘮𝘦. Take a crack at it if you want. But that movie, its English name is Full Metal Panic. And all 3 characters, L, Misa, Light, and Light's father, so 4 characters, show up outside of a barbershop in it for 3 seconds. L riding a bicycle from right to left, Misa standing on the right, spying on Light and his father, who are sitting on a bench across the thing, and you can like see them clearly outside of the barbershop windows. And then Light is also in an episode of a show called Death Parade that was made by the same company that made Death Note. L is never wearing socks. Not once.
Sure is.
We see a lot of toes.
A lot of toes. Lots of dogs out, as the kids would say today. A live musical was written based on the manga and anime series, coming out to critical acclaim in both Japan and Korea. The musical was originally written in English, then translated into Japanese. But as of April 2016, there were no English scripts, and I don't think there is still, or sheet music at all. But there was a demo album that surfaced in New York City. So if you can find that, I'd be very interested.
Come on, bring it to Broadway, you cowards.
Yeah. Put it on Broadway. It is Shakespearean, according to Nat, so put it on the theater.
I'm not wrong.
I had another. I'm sorry. I'm almost there. Oh, another kind of religious nod that they kind of did is Misa's name comes from the word 𝘰𝘭𝘧, which means black mass in Japanese. And her last name, 𝘰𝘰𝘮𝘦, I think, which means sound of the heavens. So very, I like the intentionality in that of like she's worshiping light in a sense, and there's anyway,
she's certainly doing that
with names in this. I have one more. Oh, this one was for Clayton. SPK, which I think is one of the task force, stands for Special Provision for Kira.
Ah, there you go. Okay,
so that's why it's the SPK task force. Does anyone have any other facts? As I mumbled my way through those ones,
I got a fact. And this is according to the film theorists, they estimated just about roughly how many people Kira killed through his various incarnations.
Jesus.
Light, Misa, whatever. Apparently, through the entire run of the show, Kira killed just over 279,000 people.
Good Lord.
Yeah. That's crazy. And I do have another fun fact, which isn't related to Death Note, but it's that the Digimon movie is actually 3 different properties just stitched together.
No,
and they
yeah,
acted like it was one story.
It literally is. It is terrible.
It's 100% that. It's basically an abridged parody of those 3 things.
Yeah, it is.
Dang,
It's god awful. Which is why I had to draw the comparison to counter the good comparison Nat made to Shakespeare. Do you have any insight from the manga that would be fun to know, Nat?
Well, just beyond, not really beyond what I already alluded to, that there's just a lot more to the second half of it. That is one of like the most common complaints about this piece, that after L dies, there's a noticeable dip in not just like engagement, but quality, and you can attribute a lot of that to the fact that the first half is pretty faithfully adapted, and then the second half is super compressed. So yeah, if you like the story, if you like the anime, and then you're like the second half kind of feels weird, check out the manga, because it's there's more interesting stuff. There's so much inner monologue and so much like rationalizing, especially of Light's thought processes, and we get a lot more of that for Nier and Mello in the manga that we don't get in the anime. So you'll feel a little bit more. It's still, the L stuff is still kind of the better stuff. But it reminds me a lot of like Twin Peaks. Like, I'm a Twin Peaks super mega fan. And Twin Peaks is also like, well, after they reveal who killed Laura Palmer, the rest of season 2 is just this nadir of quality. But there's actually a lot of good stuff in there. It's just different. It's different. And then there's some stuff that's bad.
Yeah. Some of the best stuff is in there, and some of the worst stuff is in there, and it makes it tricky. Yeah. He's the Misa of Twin Peaks.
He really is. Yes, he really is. All he does is pine and whine, and he can't get off screen fast enough.
Yeah, he's terrible.
Although I was going to defend Misa if I had to. She's also brilliant. She makes a lot of tactical things. She's more than just, the lovelorn person. She manages to be a second Kira. That's admirable.
Yeah. She does some cool things. She is a legitimate superstar in her own right, and she earned that shit for sure.
Career.
Yeah. Also, as far as we know, one of the few humans to entice a Shinigami to suicide. So just like absolutely banging in that respect. And then one of my favorite scenes in the show, one of the like spookiest scenes, is when she puts on the gothy outfit and the black makeup, and she walks out and she's singing the God is Watching song.
Yeah.
As she's like doing the killing for Akira for a little bit while Light is working with L. She has some cool stuff. Like when Light isn't on the screen, she's a cool character.
Yeah.
But as soon as he's on the screen, that's her entire existence. And it's just like, we get it. Like, we get it.
She just
Why can't she have her
wants to
own
hit
motivation? She wants to hit
Her-
it so
Her
bad.
motivation is to hit that.
And he
And,
is
like-
not interested.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I gotta say, it annoys the hell out of me because it's like, I don't know, that's like that porno fantasy where it's like, oh, the woman is coming on to me, but I'm like, don't do it, I don't want this. And why is that a fantasy? I don't know, but it's so unrealistic. Like, if you had a pop star that was that into you, you're either like staying really far away from her because she's crazy, and you're getting a restraining order, or you're a man. And like, if you're not into women, then you're probably gonna do what men typically do, which is be like, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
I mean,
We're not
Light just
easy.
has other
We're not hard
priorities,
to figure
man.
out.
Yeah.
yeah, Light has other priorities for sure.
Light wants to just kill people.
He just
That's
wants
what-
to murder people.
Yeah, don't kink shame him.
I
You know,
will.
I know I'm probably jumping the gun of like honest opinions, but it's just bouncing off of what you just said, Clay. For me, the worst part of the series is not after Elle dies. It's that like several chunks of episodes where they're all handcuffed together. And like
100%.
there's the whole like business subplot, like the other businessman who's also got a death note. Like that's to me the equivalent of James Hurley going off and being with Madeline, what's her name, in Twin Peaks. Like that's where I'm like, okay, come on, let's get back to the killing. I don't care about business. It's just all Misa and Light and Elle just kind of having like a weird sitcom for a little while.
Yeah. And it gets very bizarre. Because again, like Misa's character is like intolerable when she's in the same room as Elle. And frankly, so is Elle's character when he's in the same room as Light. Because like you can like if Light's around, everybody else is a douche about it. And I don't know why that has to be the case, but it kind of just is the case.
Although those first few episodes where like they first meet in college and they play like the tennis game and shit like
That's
that.
awesome.
God, the tennis game kind of rules.
It
'Cause
rules
Light is just
for
there
sure.
kind of having a panic attack, trying to figure out if
Do I
winning
win?
a
Do I not
tennis
win?
match will out him as a mass murderer.
In there. It's all
It's like, oh my god. Oh wait, this is just tennis.
Yeah.
Clay, were you lying at all? We could jump right into the
Let's do it.
actual opinions. Were you lying?
I was not really lying, except in saying that I hate Death Note, which is not true at all. I do love Death Note. I'm gonna go read the manga because I would like to see how it how it can be explored in more depth, especially with that latter third. Because I knew there was a manga and I knew it was longer, so I assumed that this was like a lot of shows adapted from mangas. Mangas tend to go really long, like the first season felt like a faithful adaptation. The second season felt like a lot of stuff crammed together, just pacing wise, story structure wise. It didn't feel nearly as fleshed out. Just as a viewer, I kind of intuitively felt that way. So I believe you, Nat, that there's a lot more depth to explore with Death Note, and I do want to go check it out. Because season 1 is amazing. Like all the hype for Death Note in season 1 is very well earned and very well deserved. The Elle versus Light, Elle versus Kira battle is super, super fun, especially early on. Misa comes in and she's pretty annoying immediately, but like having the second Kira is still interesting. Because it throws a wrench in everything that Elle is trying to do, and I'm a huge fan of the Elle character. I always enjoyed his entire arc. That was one of my arguments that I would have gotten to, though. Like, I also don't really feel like Kira has a huge arc. I feel like that's a bit of another weakness in the show, just relatively speaking, in terms of time of the story. He pretty much like turns into an asshole and just stays one the whole time. And he kind of treats everybody that way. He's just on this path of self-preservation and justification for most of the story. So I don't think it's the strongest in that sense, but I'm here for it because I do like Elle's arc, and I like the convoluted twists and turns that he has to go through. He is questioning his own deductions because he's never been wrong and he isn't. We know that as the audience. So it's a really good use of that turn that a storyteller can do where, you know, you let the audience know things that the characters don't know, and then you watch the characters suffer as they like go through trying to figure out those things. So I thought Death Note does that really well with L's character, and I quite enjoyed it. I also really liked L's father. He's a great character. Matsuda is a great character. I love that he's the one who kills Light at the end, because Matsuda's like the sweetest boy throughout the whole show, and genuinely like even loves Light's sister and has such a close connection and an intimate like tie. I think he saw Light's father as kind of his second father, his mentor. So he's like more devastated by his death than Light is, because Light's too worried about himself when his father dies. Like the last thing Light tries to do when his father dies is like, write the name. He's such a douchebag. But so it's an interesting story because I don't feel like it's kind of Breaking Bad's a great comparison, Nat, because maybe the first time you watch Breaking Bad, you find yourself rooting for Walter like early on, but if you rewatch it, you don't. Like you're pretty immediately like, this guy sucks.
Yeah.
And the more time I rewatch it annually. It's one of my favorite shows, and I just feel like I can always learn from it, and I do continue to learn from it, so I rewatch it. But the more times you watch it, the more you're like, Walter is an asshole from page one. And so is Light. He's a very similar character, and that does an interesting thing. It's not quite the anti-hero arc because he doesn't have much hero in him, but what it really does is heroize, like, I don't know if that's a word, but it makes everyone else a hero around him, except for like the other blatant villains. But for the most part, the people trying to catch him, the people he's working with, it actually does well to characterize all of them and give all of them meaningful arcs. So it creates a bunch of like sub arcs that kind of like arc around and over him throughout the story. And, you know, the most meaningful ones to me were like Matsuda and his father, and even his sister has a better arc than him, which, you know, that's just kind of how it goes. But I don't know. I think that's basically what I thought of Death Note. I enjoyed it. And I mean, that's not even getting into how much I love the concept. I love the Shinigami. I love the Shinigami realm. I love the idea of the Death Note. I love all the rules and the ways they can be followed. And then I love that Light tries to alter them at a certain point. Like, he's got that much of a fucking god complex that he thinks he can write his own rules in the Death Note. And luckily, Nier catches him and calls him out on it. Does have a great finale, despite losing a lot of narrative tension towards the end due to the kind of compressed nature of the latter third. But the ending's still great. Matsuda shoots him, and he blows his load a little too early, and everybody's just kind of like, yeah, actually you don't, so fuck you, which is great, because he deserves that.
Nat, what do you think?
Yeah, very similar thoughts. I was fully prepared to go hard against it if I got the role, but I love it. I love this this story, and I love this world so much. And you know, this is unintentional, but the more I think about it, the more similar it feels to me to Twin Peaks. Like that first chunk of it is so immaculately entertaining and thought-provoking and exciting, and then it gets weird and kind of silly, but it still has these tentpole moments that work so exquisitely well, including the finale. Like the for any faults I might have with the pacing or the structure post L, the way it all kind of comes to a conclusion is so eminently satisfying on a plot level, on a character level. Like Clay is 100% correct. Like there is no real arc per se for our central character, for Light / Kira. But the other comparison I was drawing to Macbeth is also, I think, very apropos. Like, it is just about this damaged individual who is already clearly sociopathic and egomaniacal, but he gets a taste of power and runs with it. And rather than it being a thing that allows him to do the thing he says he wants to do. He wants to create a new peaceful world. It's instead reveals how hollow and mercenary and bloodthirsty he is. And I find that to be so engaging and fascinating and complex. And I'm not a writer who feels like super confident in plot. You know, I'm not a mystery writer. There are mystery writers out there who they create these intricate Swiss watches of betrayals and red herrings, and this character's been lying the whole time, or they've set a plan in motion and now that plan is going to fruition, but we don't know what that plan is. And that happens like 13 times in this series, and each time
at least,
yeah. And sometimes it is a contrivance. Sometimes it is like, well, the audience didn't have that information, so how are we supposed to have known that was an option? But for the most part, I think it actually does play it relatively straight with the audience, and give us options that we know can be taken, but they get taken in such an interesting and unexpected way that when the reveal happens, it's like, holy shit, that was so smart. It's so smart that for all of its shortcomings as like an emotional work of art, which I think are myriad, it has a lot of shortcomings on that respect. And even that being said, like, I find Elle's death to be just incredibly upsetting, and such a great jaw-dropping kind of moment. And Light's dad too, I think is again, very classic, very poignant, full of pathos. But it is an intellectual experience. It's so energizing and exciting. Much like Breaking Bad in a similar way. Like, you have a brilliant character who keeps finding himself painted into a corner, and then you're like, well, how the fuck is he going to get out of this? And he does it, and he does it in a way where you don't feel, for the most part, cheesed off as an audience member. You're not like, that was a cop out or anything like that. You're like, holy shit, that was really smart. Like, the whole thing about it's ironic that I say this because it leads into what is kind of my least favorite point of the series, but Light's whole chess game of allowing himself to forget, giving up the notebook and then erasing all of his memories. Like, just from a writing level, I'm like, fuck, that's such a good idea. Like, that was so intriguing, and the way he set into motion this fucking 9,000 dimension chess game that ultimately then comes back to him getting his memory back at the perfect time. I love that. I love how it constantly feels like a series of puzzles that I'm not smart enough to solve. And I respect that, because it's so easy for some media to give you similar puzzle boxes and you're like, yeah, I know what you're doing. I see where you're going. This never does that. This sometimes does the opposite, where it's like there was no way to ever know where you were going. But for the most part, I stand by the kind of. I think this is such a successful property. The horrible movie adaptation notwithstanding, but the fact that there are so many spin-offs, and there's the musical. And it is such an iconic piece of work in this subgenre, in this medium, because for all its hugeness as a story with the Shinigami realm and the rules and all of this Byzantine stuff, it's still a very satisfyingly small story of these two adversaries, of this Sherlock and Moriarty just battling wits. That is so eminently engaging and intriguing.
I agree. I really like the Macbeth comparison too, and I do got to retract my statement about Shakespeare real quick. I forgot to do that in my trio.
It was in the heat of the moment.
Too.
We all said,
come after my boy.
I just got to make sure that's retracted formally. Shakespeare wrote too few plays, not too many. That's for sure.
Yes. I mean, there are a few that could go.
Oh, for sure.
No one's gonna miss Henry. You could lose. No. You could lose some of those.
Yeah, but he also
curious to hear
more,
which ones. I'd be curious to hear.
Henry VIII, parts of King John.
True. There we go. Okay.
Taming of the Shrew we could do without.
Don't get me started on
No.
Edmund Ironside and Sir Thomas More.
Yeah.
I could do without Taming of the Shrew.
I like Taming of the Shrew.
What's problematic about Taming of the Shrew? Name me one.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
Name one
So many
thing.
problematic things, but listen, without Taming of the Shrew, we would have never gotten 10 Things I Hate About You.
That's
that does
fine.
rip.
Right.
See
would
my
be
commentary on Misa. All the same problems.
I love that movie. I do love your Macbeth comparison. I think you made another comparison there that I really liked, and then I got focused on my boy Shakespeare, my boy Bill.
It's also very Crime and Punishment. Like it's very Raskolnikov.
I thought a little bit of there's not a lot of like comparison with story beats, but the characterization of Light, like the Godfather, kind of this, which he has more of. Michael Corleone has more of an arc, like a fall, but by the end you see this like man that can't stop. You know, I love the final scene of Godfather Part 2. I haven't watched 3 because I know the plot. It got spoiled for me, and I'm like, I just don't want that to be the ending, because I love that final scene of him like gazing out onto the lake as his like brother. He's like sent somebody to just kill his brother because he can't trust anyone, and his brother's done nothing wrong up until that point. Like it's the one brother that has never wronged him, and even him, he's like, no, like like I can't let you live. I think there's a lot of that with Light of like he starts to do the thing for so long that he just can't stop, and no matter what, there was never a time or place or way in which Kira rested. Like it became him. And I think stories like that are really cool, which is a reason I liked Death Note for quite a while. I gave up. See, I say I always finish things, and you've named 2 of the shows I haven't. I couldn't get through the Misa stuff, but I will fully say this is me. I don't like that trope in anime. Most of my favorite animated series aren't really like traditional anime. Like, so I can't really say I'm an anime fan. I really liked Castlevania. I was a big fan of Arcane. I like what Vox Machina has been doing.
Sure.
But like, besides that, when I've tried to watch for a long time, like traditional animes, even like the classics like Dragon Ball Z and stuff, I just can't. It's not my cup of tea. I don't like the goofiness. I like a serious animated sort of darker take, which even Vox Machina tiptoes into characterizations that I'm like, nah. Sometimes.
Have you tried Attack on Titan yet?
Everyone's told me to. I have not.
Attack on Titan goes fucking
all
hard.
serious all day.
It's not funny.
That's what I heard.
It's not funny.
It's
Here's
never
what you-
fucking funny ever.
You cannot binge it. You'll get too sad.
Yeah.
And
That
there's
one
no
I've heard-
Misa in that one because she
I've
gets
heard-
eaten,
I've
like,
heard,
20 times.
Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is the other one. People are like,
That-
oh, you'll like
yeah.
that one.
It's great.
Rules, dude.
So
Full
but,
Metal
yeah.
Alchemist Brotherhood rules. Attack on Titan also rules.
Yeah.
I did not finish
Evangelion also
Death Note.
rules. Neon Genesis Evangelion also rules.
I'm going to shout out Parasite. Nobody talks about Parasite.
Parasite rules too.
Parasite
Parasite
rules.
does rule.
Parasite.
That's a little
Yeah.
sillier.
The movie also rules and deserved the Oscar
Yes.
in a year that was hard to win. That was a
Mhm.
rough year for, good
Different
for that
Parasite,
movie.
actually. This is Parasite. with a
Different
Y.
Parasite. Yeah, I know, but
Yeah.
I had to shout out Parasite.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
we
yeah.
can talk about
Everything.
Parasite. I'll talk about Parasite. I fucking love
Yeah,
it.
let's
my,
go.
my
What about
final
every
opinion.
Parasite?
My final opinion would be, Zeb in the comments said, "Don't sleep on Delicious in the Dungeon."
Okay.
Noted.
I don't know
So-
that one. I am sleeping on it.
We've all slept.
Yeah,
I didn't even
Death
know there
Note,
were comments.
Right on it this whole time.
Death Note is good, but I didn't finish it. But I really liked the chess game that you guys are talking about, and I do agree with that. It is very Shakespearean, and I can say I come from somewhat of I know Shakespeare probably more than most random people. Like, I'm not an expert, but I read a lot of freaking Shakespeare. I have 3 tattoos, so
Now I want to know which ones.
Yeah.
Everybody
I
else
have,
leave. It's me and Travis now.
I can tell them really fast. I have Richard II.
Love Richard II.
I have Richard II on my right arm. I have Julius Caesar on my left arm, and then I have Macbeth on my spine.
So
full
you
of
just have
scorpions is my
doomed political leaders on your
Yep.
The best kind of political leader.
Yeah.
So
Jeremy.
you have a fair point, Jeremy.
Jeremy, shut me up about Shakespeare. What did you think?
Very
of
well.
Death Note?
Please
Well,
shut these culture
look,
snobs up, Jeremy.
Yeah, just be cool, guys. We're not. You're here. Let's bring it down here. Let's talk about.
I was just about to quote Macbeth and say, "I have been in blood stepped so far that to return would be as tedious as to go o'er." That is this series in a nutshell. Anyway, go on, Jeremy.
Yes, let's go on. I'm glad you only almost got there.
Just like me with this show.
Yeah, just like that. But like, I mean, there's so much to love about Death Note. It is definitely, it's high drama in both the sense that it was probably written under the influence of so many drugs, but also like everything is cranked up to 11. There's, of course, the tennis match we alluded to. There's Light taking a potato chip and eating it. Fantastic. Oh my god. Pivotal. Fantastic scene. Absolutely no notes. Like I will say, I don't think the show is as smart as it thinks it is, but it is so much fun. Especially like I don't know if anything in the show is as fun as like Light and L just constantly trying to outsmarting each other, and just watching Light try to like Xanatos Gambit his way out of any consequences for his actions. And, you know, it's just really fun. I love Light just being absolutely rock hard about how brilliant he thinks he is, especially in like the early episodes. And that just leading to, you know, so many corners he puts himself into. It's great. Yeah, just go watch it or whatever.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I'll definitely give it a watch. It's a good time.
All right, so back to Richard II. Should
he have and we got to go to our 5-minute break.
Let's stop. No.
Bolingbroke. Yay, nay?
Yeah.
Yay,
you guys will have to talk Shakespeare at StokerCon.
Oh, please. Yeah.
Yeah.
Richard II is my favorite play, so we'll talk at StokerCon.
One of my favorites too.
All right.
Nice. I look forward to that for you two. Me and Jeremy will continue to drink ourselves into oblivion at the bar, and it'll be great.
You guys aren't overhearing the fact that Richard II is one of the only plays written entirely in blank verse? That doesn't excite you?
I mean, I think that's pretty neat.
Hey, I'm jazzed. I'm just as jazzed as you are.
I don't think I'm capable of being that jazzed about blank verse, but I appreciate it. I appreciate the knowledge. And I appreciate you bringing that knowledge to the show, Nat. Thank you, everybody, for being here as well. We're going to take a 5-minute break, so everybody please kick off your cameras, kick off your microphones, and we'll see y'all on the other side. Goodbye.
Hello, Fermented Folks. Welcome to another episode of Fermented Fiction, the first of our new season, and I believe it's season 4. The show where we drink beer and argue with each other and bring on really awesome creative guests.
If you'll permit me to go a little bit outside the box. Once upon a time, apparently, people used to sniff mummy remains, powdered mummy remains like cocaine. So I think 3 lines of powdered mummy remains, if you can get to that as well. Yeah, that'll get you right to really enjoy the movie, you know.
Dave told us all about making a mead, and I talk shit about Tom Bombadil, as I am wont to do whenever people bring up Lord of the Rings.
You would. You should.
And then that's
everybody
exactly what he
freaking
made.
chill about Tom Bombadil, or I'll get unreasonably upset.
So, in your assessment, what did you think of the everyone kind of paired off, or at least a number of people did, romantically? How'd you feel about that? Did that seem really forced and dumb to you, or?
Tom Bombadil is a merry old fellow with his bright blue jacket and his boots are yellow. Right?
His boots are yellow.
Right.
Imagine like discovering mummy remains and like, oh my god, these ancient figures. Dude, what if we crushed this and snorted it, yo? I bet we'd get fucked up.
Let's talk for a moment about the fucking all-star cast in this movie. We have Ewan McGregor slaughtering it the entire time, main character energy, top to bottom. You can't argue with it. Women want him, men want him, everybody wants Ewan McGregor. Okay? If you don't agree with that, you're lying to yourself.
Apparently she had a backstory, but they cut it because she's like very like hard-nosed at the beginning. And then like, I will say another pro of this movie is like their chemistry is hot. And like, I feel like if they didn't have that chemistry, I would have been like, ugh. Because she says at one point, she's like, oh, it's the apocalypse. What are we going to do? Like, fuck. And he's like, and then later when they like are like kissing, if they didn't have chemistry and if it was like two lesser actors, I think it would have been like an eye roll, like felt cheesy, but like you feel their bond.
The 𝘔𝘰𝘮𝘕 themselves were originally going to be portrayed by puppets. And I think maybe they should have. Maybe they should have.
Dude, that's amazing.
There's no maybe about that.
And I wish that I could say that there was something greater happening here than the war diary of a broken man living as sort of this White Tower academic with all of his friends sitting inside the Eagle and Child drinking beer and pretending, you know, Magic Lion Jesus isn't really silly. Because, I mean, it is. If we can just all be very honest with each other.
The Lord's work out there. Good job.
I like to think that I am. Most people aren't big enough, but I am. I'm willing to settle up, you know?
Yeah. Dedicate
You're
that
still- yeah,
time.
settle
You're willing
twice.
willing to dedicate that time.
The time, the money, all of it.
Ah, that was so painful. It's one of those painful things.
Oh, that
I've
was
done in my
so
life.
good. That was so good. We've never been so savagely attacked by any author on their show. It's incredible.
See that? See that over there? See that thing? It says like, comment, subscribe. Do that.
Friggin' do it. Come on,
Just
guys.
Do it. Come on.
Yeah,
Get
come
in
on.
there.
Do all
You
three of
won't.
those things.
Whole school
Come
says you
on.
won't.
Yeah.
Have you
We
guys
believe in
liked,
you.
commented, and subscribed yet? Have you guys done it? Have you done it?
Yeah, have you
I
done
don't
it?
know,
Yeah.
Nat. I don't know if
I
they
mean,
have, but they should.
There's still time.
I bet they won't. They're not that cool. Not cool enough to
Oh, and
just
if you're
do
listening-
all three.
Commenting and
If you're
subscribing.
listening to this and you can't see it, it says like, comment, and subscribe. And you should do that on Spotify too.
That's right.
Even
Get
if
your
you're
ass
not
over there.
listening, do it anyway. You know.
All right. Thank you, people, for indulging in that. That was very fun. It is time
Love
for
it.
our questionnaire section of the show where we get to just talk to one of the best horror authors working today about stuff, which is awesome.
You got someone else on the line? So exciting.
It's you, Nat.
Ah,
You are
what?
that.
Well, I'm
You
going to
are
crack
that.
open this near beer then.
I thought you were talking about me. Now
Oh,
I'm
sorry,
bummed out.
Clay. Now I'm bummed out.
Words can hurt you guys.
They
I
can.
want to start with a goofy question that hopefully doesn't, take too much time, but if it does, I'd be fine with that. And I will say, so mine's not in the order it usually is, but I feel like, to my mind, there's two ways to do a bookshelf that are acceptable. Two acceptable ways. There's another set of ways that are not acceptable. And I think right now we have on display the two acceptable ways in my head, and I'd love to get your opinions on this. There's either Nat's, like, I have so many books, I just stack them however because they're like this delightful, awesome pile that just like makes me think like, wow, this guy's got it. And then there's my attempt, although again, it's a little messy right now, but I try and keep things very like neat in the same order and like genre stack and all of that. Do you think those are the two ways, or do you think one is superior? How do you stack your books, panel? And also, Nat, can you talk about your bookshelf a little? I'd love to hear about it.
I would love to talk about my bookshelf. Nobody asks me about my bookshelf, so I'm so excited about this. Yeah, there are more bookshelves that way. There are more bookshelves that way. The entire Shakespeare bookcase is right there, but no one can see that, unfortunately. So I'm in my office. This is my my little writing space, and I wanted it to evoke as kind of viscerally as it could the used bookstores that I grew up just kind of being obsessed with and living in as much as I could, which means that there is organization. Like it looks haphazard, but there is actually a relative method to the madness. But also, I just get too many books, and so eventually, like, I just got to start stacking on stacks. But like this area right here is all short story collections, and you got Stephen King, and Stephen King is also below here. Over here, I forget if I'm being mirrored here. Like this is where all like the nonfiction stuff starts, which also has its own dedicated bookcase out of frame.
I did notice. I was like kind of trying to pride myself in the ones I could. Killers of the Flower Moon there by David Grann. I think you got the People's History of the United States in there.
Indeed, indeed. You can see Public Enemies, Ladies and Gentlemen, the Bronx is Burning. There's a few others. Columbine, that's a great book. They're all great books. There's not a dud on this shelf. And then you get like over here, and that's really like a lot of like the mass market horror paperbacks and stuff like that, which are incredibly important to me. So I would love to have shelves that are as coherent and visibly calming and pleasing as yours. But there is at least like some semblance of order. Like I don't like alphabetize or anything like that. It's all just kind of like, there are the mass market paperbacks. There's the nonfiction. There's the, I do have like the Stephen King sections, which is multiple shelves, or like the Peter Straub sections, or Ramsey Campbell. Joe Hill has his own shelf. Grady and Stephen Graham Jones and Paul Tremblay have their own shelves. Nice. So there's stuff like that, but for the most part, it's just like, here's a lot of horror trade paperbacks, and here's a lot of other things. It's very calming. It's very inspiring. It makes me feel very inspired when I look at them. And also, I live in an apartment. Well, it's a house really, that collects more dust than anywhere else I've lived. So they're also the bane of my fucking existence. I'm allergic to my office, so I'm just constantly sick with dust. Because it's just, there's too many fucking tchotchkes and there's too many things on there, so I don't dust as often as I should. And so I feel like I'm also in like a haunted manor, and I'm just beset by upper respiratory distress.
Some Luigi's Mansion shit going on.
Yeah, Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah.
It reminded me when I saw your bookshelf as you signed on of, I don't know if you know, Umberto Eco that wrote The Name of the Rose. He has a really brilliant, he had an idea that I love, that some people are like, that's really stupid, but I think it's beautiful, of an anti-library. And he phrased it as like, he just keep buying books till the day he died, even if he never read them, because he just wanted to be surrounded with like this reference material, where no matter what he was thinking about, he could like peruse and be like, oh, that's about that, and just pull it off and read a couple chapters, and just like constantly be reading, even if he didn't finish them, and just put them back on complete. Like apparently when he died, he had like 50,000 books in his Milan home. Just was like surrounded with them. So I love that yours is giving that vibe, and I love it.
Yeah, it's a real sickness. And then like, you reach a certain point too, where like you get a lot of like blurb reads and stuff like that. So there's just constantly books I'm not even paying for that are just like coming in, and it's a great problem to have, but also, oh my God, there's so many fucking books.
It is pretty crazy. We have started to be fortunate enough to get some of the stuff from our guests on the show for free, and I've been doing this for about 6 years now, so obviously I'm like always trading books with my friends or my peers, or getting books to read, and I mean, it stacks up really quickly when you get into adding contemporary fiction to everything else you like just want to read. Yeah. Not that I don't want to read contemporary fiction. I read mostly contemporary fiction at this point just because of that. But Yeah. So, like you said, great problem to have. To your bookshelf question, Travis, you can't see it in my bookshelves because one is not in this room. I do have a small, so I'll just show you guys. I have a small TBR over there. That's my TBR. So you can see it as the haphazard pile. The top pile is next on deck, and then the books below are after that. So that's, and then I also have some books on my desk. I try to start every day with nonfiction reading, and then I do a little bit of writing, and that's kind of my morning routine. And then I read fiction whenever I have to or at night. But yeah, so I try to make a practice to read every day. My bookshelf is organized by like genre or author when I have enough of those. Like you said, Nat, I have enough. Stephen King, I have enough. Tremblay, I have enough. Graham Jones, Alma Katsu, I have quite a few. I have like all of her books. So I can put all of those in their own sections. But aside from that, it's horror, fantasy, nonfiction, sci-fi, that kind of stuff. But haphazard, but there's a system. There's a system. It ain't color coded or alphabetized, that's for sure.
Yeah, you gotta have a system. Hey, my spot, that's an easy one. Right now behind me, you do see the tail end of what I've got going on, which is just fully alphabetized by title. Because if I try to come up with a more complicated sorting system, I will forget it after like a month, and I won't be able to find anything.
Mm-hmm.
However, we are reaching the point where if I get like literally any more books, it's going to start swallowing up my space down here. So we are fast approaching that. Like
Critical
when I finally
mass.
have to put the Fall of Hyperion away, it's something's got to get bumped to a lower shelf. And
that's new bookshelf time.
Yeah, you can put a bookshelf on the other side.
In time. That's okay. Ooh, hey, yeah. Let's get some of that.
To
Clayton's time can go there.
Clayton's TBR pile, I have my own, but I'm like that meme of the woman and the man that are walking and holding hands, and there's the like other woman walking by, and he's like looking behind him to look at the other woman. Every time I pass my little pile over there that's TBR, I like look at it and I'm like, oh, let me actually that one over there looks a little and I grab another one and put it on the TBR.
Light and Misa walking by Takeda there. That's what that is.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, now let's talk about Death Note, because that's what people came here to hear about and to hear from Nat. I have 3 places I'd like to go. And the first one is something we mentioned quite a bit, made some comparisons to other media that were really good, such as Breaking Bad, The Godfather, other things. Following the Villain. I think that's a really fun... No, sorry for my dogs. It's all good. Following the Villain is a really fun one to do, like with a series, but I feel like it is kind of hard to pull off. When it's done well, it's done like it's one of the most entertaining things to watch or read. But when it's not done well, you're just watching an asshole. And that's really, really dreadful to do. So I do think Death Note does it well for at least most of season 1 that I watched. And we've mentioned other things like The Godfather and Breaking Bad. And there's so many other sources, or like Macbeth, classic Shakespeare kind of thing. Even you mentioned Homer once. I think the Iliad has a couple straight up villains that are primary characters. I mean, Agamemnon is not a good person. Achilles is not a good person.
Achilles sucks,
is a
dude.
Terrible human being.
Yeah, he's a lot like Light, actually.
Yeah, Hector is one of the only like redeemable characters in that story. But, and I would argue Menelaus maybe. But anyway.
And look how Hector ends up.
Yeah, look how he ends up.
Yeah.
Have you ever written kind of this perspective of the villain? If so, how did that go? And what was the process for that? And then what are some of your favorite material that's done that kind of thing?
That's an excellent question. I guess in some respects, I don't want to spoil anything, but Mary, my first book, can arguably fit that bill. It's more complicated than that, but there are elements of anti-hero to it, and things get more complicated when certain revelations about some of the narrative voice become revealed. And I've certainly done that in short stories, because I think that's a really fun thing to do with a short story, is to just have it be as nasty and mean as possible. Which, like you just said, like that can be a challenge in a longer form narrative, because it does start to just kind of feel like, this guy fucking sucks. Like, why am I investing so much time in this person who's just trying to create havoc? But with a short story, it's a nice little nasty little jolt. And I have a couple of plays, appropriately enough, because I feel like this is a very tried and true thing on the stage, like not just Macbeth, but Iago is arguably the most compelling part of Othello, and Aaron is the most compelling part of Titus Andronicus, and a good villain on stage. The whole Jacobean revenge drama movement too, like Cyril Tourneur and John Webster and those guys. Like it's usually a real bad guy is the protagonist, because there is something really fun about watching that happen on stage, because they usually pay for their crimes, and so I have a couple of plays that follow in a similar suit. One of which, the first one that springs to mind, I know there are several others, but the first one that springs to mind was it's one of my favorite productions I've ever had of one of my works, which was a very, very loose adaptation of an H.P. Lovecraft like story fragment. It's one of Lovecraft's worst stories, which is saying a lot. But it was it's called The Temple, and the story was set on a U-boat during World War One. I updated it to World War II. And the play is basically about a political Nazi officer who's on board a Kriegsmarine U-boat during what was called the Black Spring. It was when the Battle of the Atlantic turned immediately on a dime, and suddenly everyone in U-boats was dying precipitously. And basically to be on a U-boat was like the most horrific death sentence imaginable. And this, smarmy little propagandist political officer is on board this submarine to get some propaganda footage, and the boat winds up sinking, but he winds up finding these artifacts that allow him to breathe when there is no air, and he just commits horrible mind games on the dying sailors who are dying of oxygen starvation, and making them do horrible things, and kind of running experiments on them to see what orders they will follow at their own expense. And it is just like this very disturbing deep dive into fascistic mindset and the fascist impulse, written at a time when that seemed like a novel idea. It was like, oh man, I wonder what that would be like. So it was the early days of like 2013. It was an innocent time. Very much a one of those like, following the worst person in the play, in the story.
I've got a follow-up question for you before we hop to Clayton and Jeremy, because I do think there's Death Note is interesting, just in the same way that like Breaking Bad is, even Better Call Saul, where you mentioned like Iago, and Iago's maybe my favorite villain in all of literature. I love him. I love his final line. It's so impactful. But he's, yes, the most interesting person in the play, but Othello is still the title and the guy and the protagonist. And I think that happens a lot, where the villain pulls all the attention because they're so compelling. But what is it that's different in a story like Death Note and a story like Breaking Bad, where like they're the same person? Like we have our protagonist we're following, and they're the one that we're supposed to be technically rooting for, but that person is also the villain. Like that is a weird dynamic to me. If you could speak to that a little.
Yeah, it's a fascinating distinction, because one of the things that makes Iago so terrifying and why he would be a fundamentally unsatisfying protagonist, is that he's got no motive whatsoever. Like he occasionally makes gestures at like, I'm doing this because I was passed over for a promotion, or maybe Othello's been fucking my wife. I don't know. But Coleridge has a very famous description of Iago, which is just that he is motiveless malignancy. Like, how do you make cancer a compelling central character? You kind of can't. He's just there to ruin people's lives for whatever bullshit he wants to ascribe to that. Even Aaron in Titus Andronicus has much more of a compelling, clear reason for the things that he's doing. Similarly, I think Light, more like Macbeth, is not motiveless. He's a malignant narcissist. He's got a thing that we can all recognize as a universal trait, which is ambition, which is ego, which is a very healthy sense of one's kind of superiority, and then some. But it's coming from a place of need. It's coming from a fundamental characterological question that needs to then be solved through the course of the thing, as opposed to Iago, which is just, he's just a fucking thunderhead in the desert, and he's just going to strike lightning where he's going to strike lightning. So there's not much of an arc to follow. Instead, he's so compelling because you're like, how the fuck is he going to get away with this? What is he going to do? The audience is in a much more reactive state of just like, what the fuck is this guy doing? But he's not teaching us anything about ourselves other than like our fallibility at falling for characters like that.
I do think, I think Death Note 2 presents more of a question of like, what would I do? And it's fun. It's like entertaining to follow Light answer that question to the highest extreme, and for you to wrestle with like, where would I have stopped? Like, where would I have tried to stop being the hero and just like leaned into it, or would I have? I think that's also interesting. But Clay?
And I think Breaking Bad is the same way. Like, as much of an asshole as Walter White is, I think there is like what would I do? What lessons can I learn from his hamartia, his downfall? You can't do that with an Iago. Like, no one's watching Othello and being like, how would I do that? How would I make that guy kill his wife?
How would I kill that guy? Ruin that guy's life. Clay?
I mean, for me, I think where it balances out nicely in both those examples, I love this Breaking Bad comparison to Death Note because I think it's quite perfect. And I'm just well versed in Breaking Bad, so it's easy for me to reference it. But I think where it balances out for me anyway is in the way it shifts the narrative to a shared POV. I think both Death Note and Breaking Bad do this really well. The story is less about a protagonist you're supposed to root for, and it's more about getting deeply into the mind of the evil part of the story, of the cancer in the story, and truly understanding like where that comes from and what it looks like and how it affects everybody around it. Walter White is cancer personified. Light is like lawful good justice personified with no filter, right? With no guardrails, with no like nobody holding him, nobody can really stop him. Whatever he deems to be just is he has the power to make it be so. All he like the power to kill with just somebody's name and face in the age of television. I mean, in the age of the internet, right? This is in the internet age, albeit the early internet age. Light has this incredible power to enact his version of justice upon the world, and there's very little the world can do about it. And so I think this story is really more about watching that and then rooting for everybody else. Like you do that in Breaking Bad. The hero of Breaking Bad is Jesse Pinkman. The hero of or maybe Skyler, like those two are, or Hank. Those are far more heroic figures in Breaking Bad than Walter White ever is. I mean, fucking almost everybody is more heroic than Walter White, to be completely honest. Like Gus is more heroic than Walter White. And then in Death Note, it's very much the same. Like L is who you're rooting for. You're just waiting for like, because L is so close so many times. He knows from the beginning. He knows from the jump pretty much. Like one of the best scenes in all of Death Note to me is right away, like early on when L first enters the picture and he airs the video and he's like, yeah, kill this, and Kira kills him, and then L's like, huh, funny that you did that. I only aired it in Tokyo, like exactly where I thought you lived, you little fuck. And then Ryuk's over there just chuckling at him because Ryuk doesn't give a shit if Light dies. And I love that dynamic too, for the record. Like, I love Ryuk's just like completely passive view on all of this. Like, he shows up and he says he's just there to entertain. And he was being truthful. Like, he literally just dropped chaos into the human realm to see what would happen, and he got to see it. He gave it to the right guy. Like, he gave it to the exact right guy for his purposes. And that is counterpointed by the other Shinigami. Every other Shinigami that enters the realm has a very like emotional investment in the humans that they gave it to, where Ryuk just kind of represents chaos incarnate. He's just like, I just want to see what happens and eat apples and have a good time. So I think all of that is fun I think there's an inherent like human enjoyment in studying evil and getting deeper into analyzing these villain characters. And at a certain point, you start to get kind of drug along with them, especially in like Breaking Bad. Like, eventually, like when Jesse breaks and he's like, he can't keep getting away with it. That's such a great scene. And I feel that all throughout Death Note too. Like, I just like, how many times are we going to do this thing where L had him in a corner and he weasels his way out of it, and then he ends up killing L, and you're like, damn it, you know, like L was such a cool character and he had him all along.
Yep.
You reminded me too of like I another part that I love, and it is that I think it is the moment when you really understand that Light is a bad guy. Like, you kind of know it from the jump, but he's paying enough lip service to like just wanting to kill criminals and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah. But when the Ray Pember and then Ray Pember's fiance, when he kills both of them, when he makes her kill herself, it is so damnable. And it is so delicious in that like kind of horrifying way. Like when you watch Walter White do some of and you just kind of realize like, oh no, I'm on this ride with someone who is a fucking maniac.
Yeah, that's a great example. Now,
yeah.
I love the Ray Pember part, especially, and they do a great job there of like giving us that little taste of characterization before, like, we know, as again, Death Note does this really well, where they're like, the audience knows this and the characters don't, and it makes it kind of more tragic when it happens, ironically, even though we know it's coming. But he says, it's my last day following this cat. You know, like, he was writing off Light. He was like done with that part of the job, and if he'd have just like not gotten on the bus, then he would have survived. But like, it was all written into the plan already, so it was kind of like that whole chaos and fate intermingling, and there was no way out for him, and he was actually a good character. So yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy. And you know, I think everything that's been said so far is right. And like only certain types of villains are going to work as protagonists. Specifically, you need like an anti-hero or a complicated villain to do it. Like, as an opposite example, Firelord Ozai would be an awful POV character because there's absolutely nothing to identify with unless you also want to just like set fire to all the people you don't like. And there's just
twirly
nothing.
mustache man, yeah.
Yeah, just a twirly mustache man. Twirly mustache man is just awful to follow along with because there's no self-comparison that can happen there. It's like, I don't have the motive, means, or opportunity to burn down a continent. And like, yeah, there's that.
Like an Azula show.
An Azula show would kind of be incredible.
Sign me up.
Insane,
like,
but I'd be in.
Okay. But it's, you know, it's one of those things that I liked about like earlier seasons of, say, White Collar, if you've seen it with 𝘞𝘰𝘭𝘧 being like really interesting and cool, just this criminal helping the FBI. But then once I got to a certain point where he's just like, oh, I actually really like being bad, those words literally come out of his mouth. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to stop and never watch this show again. Because that's not a real person anymore. Yeah.
I think you're speaking to something there that I was going to kind of piggyback off of. I think even when we don't follow villains, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, writers in the room, but it seems like it's really hard for anybody to fall in love with a character that's flawless. In any sense. Like there's the old, mythos and fables and stuff, which is something I love that Tolkien does, where he like blends the two, where like you get your Gandalfs and Aragorns, who are just these like old mythic characters from like folk tales they're just angels essentially. But then you have that mixed in with like Frodo and Sam, who are heroic and awesome and undeniably good characters, but they have flaws and they have like things that they mess up with and struggle with. And it feels to me like the villain protagonist arc thing is kind of just like the most extreme version of that want we have for following flaws, because we all have them and want to relate to them. I don't know, is something there, or am I just talking up my ass?
No, I think something's there for sure. I mean, and they start out Light's arc by capitalizing upon that. Like, we can all understand that sort of desire to make the world a better place. We can understand like how we might want to enact justice upon the world, where we see injustice all around us, especially if you're younger, like, and you're not quite like as worldly yet. Maybe you haven't met a bunch of people who have like committed crimes, so you don't really know the other side. Like, Light grew up in a house with a police chief as a father, so he has and he's young and he's like smart and arrogant, so he's pretty skewed view of reality, to be completely honest. And his sense of justice and what needs to be done, it can make sense on like the surface level. Now, obviously, we pretty immediately see the drawbacks to that and how it's inherently pretty evil to just kill people based on your own judgment. Nobody should be judge, jury, executioner with ultimate power. Obviously, that is completely a God complex and it's a bad thing. But that desire to do good that Light kind of starts with, and you know, when we first see it, like, it's not an uncommon story, the vigilante story. It's a very common story, and I think there's a reason for that. I think that capitalizes on that desire to do good, and I think somewhere within all of us, there's that will, no matter how small it might be, no matter how well you might have dealt with it yourself, to put it where it belongs, which is deep inside of you, like to enact in those violent and catastrophic ways. But I think it's in there for most people. Like, there's some part of us that's like, you know, I wish I could just fix all this. And if I had the power to fix it, I'd be able to fix it. I would know the right way to do it. Yeah. But I don't know. Maybe I'm talking out my ass. What do you guys think?
We're just passing it. We're passing all that.
Pass the ass.
Pass the ass, man.
You said something that sets up my next question that I'll start with Nat with, and that is that we have this, maybe most people universally have this thing of like, oh, I could fix it all in some way, small or big. And I mean, it shows that Batman's one of the most popular heroes like ever. I think that the vigilante thing is very strong in the universal story want. But I think one thing that really turns a lot of these stories is the ability to do so. We talked about Walter White. Like, if I could pay for cancer treatment by making meth, that's all starts with, if I could make 99% pure meth. And that's like, these characters are geniuses, you know, like, would I, if I could? It starts with the genius aspect. Light is a genius. Bruce Wayne is a genius. Walter White is a genius. Like, so that's kind of what I want to talk about now, is these characters who are incredibly smart. How do you write that, man? Like, if you do, what are some of your favorite examples? Because I like to ask those kinds of questions. yeah, it just seems tough because I'm just a schmo, I think, and I don't know how I would write a person as diabolically genius as Walter White, or as light seems to think he is, as Jeremy put it. But Nat, what do you think?
Yeah, man, it's it first off, it once again kind of harkens back to the classics. I know we're all bored of talking about the classics, but
I'm never bored of that.
you got me.
I'm bored ahead of time. Thank you.
But there's that Aristotelian idea of our social betters, not just our social betters, but just like our betters make a more compelling hero. So it was a long time before a scruffy little plebeian was actually like the protagonist of a story when we're thinking of like big classic stories. Because you had to be from royalty, you had to be a warrior, you had to be this extraordinary person to be worthy of myth, to be worthy of a story that is told in the first place, unless you're like a cautionary tale. But even then, like it tends to be like kings and princes and someone of note, someone of an elevated status or talent. Because I think on some respect that removes from the audience a certain element of judgment and like finicky sort of like, well, I wouldn't do it that way. Once it's a little more heightened, you can kind of step back from it a little bit and take it more for the morality tale that it's probably intended to be, and less as like I would never do that. You know what I mean? That helps to boost it up. And also there's a satisfying element of the competence porn of it all. Like it's always just really satisfying to see someone who's really good at a thing do that thing, whether they're making a sandwich or they're cooking meth or they're plotting, they're figuring out the ins and outs of a mystical notebook that, maybe if I write the time down, then I can kill people while I'm at school and they won't know that I'm at school. And meanwhile, the detective is like, oh, all these deaths are happening at a certain time. Like, it's just very engaging to watch someone be really good at a thing. And then when you put that into a dramatic framework, when these characters have wants and goals and obstacles, if their obstacle can be someone else also being really good at a thing, then man, there's a quote in Hamlet. It's been a little while since I did Hamlet, so I'm gonna butcher it. But it's so sweet when two fucking things meet. The paraphrase is, oh my god, it's so satisfying when plots collide. And I think that is what we're getting in Death Note and in things like Breaking Bad and in Crime and Punishment and things like that. We've got people who are good at things, and we're seeing the flaws in their skills. Because going back to your earlier question, even I think stories and storytelling has evolved in our weird little species because they are very handy instruction manuals. Every story ultimately becomes this instructional video, as it were, of like, if you're in this situation, here's what you do, here's what you don't do, here's how you get out of it, here's how you don't get out of it. Here are examples to follow, here are examples to very much not follow. Then when it is a story like, if you do have the power to kill people, here's how you would do it very effectively, but also you're gonna pay for it in the end. It has that sort of moralistic arc, and we get a sort of secondhand thrill as people who all of us want to be good at things. We all want to be good at the things that we attempt, and we get a sort of why can't I think of there's a word that is a very common word and I can't think of it because I've had too much near beer. But we get that secondhand sort of thrill of like, oh, that'd be really cool to be good at that. Let's go on that ride where I can feel like I'm good at that too. and then see all the pitfalls and all the dangers that I could fall prey into. And then ideally, if it's a story of some universal worth, how can I carry those lessons into more lateral things that I am good at? What morals can I learn? What lessons can I learn? Which, it sounds like I'm arguing that storytelling needs to come from a moralistic place. I don't think it needs to have that sort of exogenous sort of judgment put on it. But it's still, we still, I think, no matter what, morally or not, we still engage with story from a place of lesson learning and from a place of just kind of base survival of how would I get away with that? How would I survive this? How would I, feel good about that? How would my morality survive this? How would my sense of self survive this? How would my body survive this? Et cetera, et cetera. So having a protagonist or having characters who are uniquely good at a thing, A, is very satisfying, but B, then is also very instructional. And it just helps the story go too. Cause you have a character who's just kind of like a C student at plot mechanics, and it's just kind of going to fizzle out, right? You need that A student who's going to keep that story going.
Yeah.
That was a lot of words. I don't know if any of that made sense.
Oh yeah.
I think it reminded me, the way you're talking about like the stories as lessons resonates well. The program that I got trained through to get my teaching certificate phrased education a lot as like, we're not imparting knowledge into the brain that's like this empty vessel. We're gazing in a mountain and inviting them to gaze with us. And I think all the best stories do that, of like, they show us the mountain with, bias obviously, but like as little bias as they can, of like, here's just the story, look at it, make your judgment. One of my favorite examples was Ursula K. Le Guin did this fascinating thought experiment on like, she had a planet that she viewed was like pure socialism and a planet she viewed as like pure capitalism. And then her plot line is this guy from the socialist planet goes to the capitalist planet. It's called the Dispossessed, and then like goes back. And so you just watch this guy like interact with these two societies. And I think she does a good job of not telling you her judgment, just showing you the thing and being like, you tell me which one's better. And like, what are the flaws there? So I think you're right that stories can really do that powerfully, but I'll shut up now, Clay.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with what Nat's saying. All stories are lessons in a way, and whether they don't like have to impart a morality, but I do think we all come into it with our own lens of morality, whether we mean to or not. It's subconscious, and we just kind of do it. Especially, and I mean, stories like Death Note are very much trying to impart morality. They're not subtle about it. They are very, very blatant about it.
Light is a hero, and we should all emulate Light.
Yeah,
at every
Hail Kira.
Yeah.
That's the more.
If you get
Hail
the
Kira.
chance to kill all the criminals, just do it. You are justice.
Crime rates are way down, baby. What are we complaining about? Yeah, I love the juxtaposition of that, by the way, towards the end of the show, when people are just like begging not to have their names put on the internet for like minor crimes. It's fucking awesome. Because that's so realistic, right? Like, yeah, it looks great at the beginning, but then at the end of the day, like it never looks great, let's be honest. But like, it looks like it has a semblance of justice at the beginning, and then you see the fallout is very evident later, and it doesn't take that long for it to start to show to everybody. Mm-hmm. For example, his two like criminal allies who did the white collar thing with him, who joined his team to help him take down Kira, he just kills them. As soon as he gets the notebook back, he's like, fuck, those guys are criminals. What an asshole. And he kills the one guy right in front of his kid. So Light's a piece of shit. Don't kill me, Kira, please. Or go ahead, whatever. But anyway,
I would say if you did have a heart attack on air right now, that would be incredible content.
That would be so
40
good.
seconds. Crevasse will finally sell some fucking copies. So yeah, but now you make a great point. I think one thing I'll point out, because I don't have a lot more to add on Nat's point, it was very full, is I also think there's an important distinction here. Yeah, speaking of lacking a good word for what I wanted to say, I think an important distinction too between these character dynamics is there's two things happening here. So we've been this running comparison of Breaking Bad, and we have a bit of a combination of both. But there is that competence porn. I totally believe that's a real thing. I'm with you on that. I mean, it's in like Save the Cat, I think, where he says like to a successful characters, they have to be really good at something or really shitty at something. And we want to watch it either way. But it's also interesting, the distinction between earned competence and imparted power. Like Walter White's power comes from a lifetime of devotion to his craft. It comes from a very much earned competence, and also with that competence comes his like extreme level of bitterness and rage, and his incompetence. What's the word I'm looking for? Like complex. He's got like an incompetency complex, right? Because he has been outshined and overshadowed by all of his colleagues. And they show that so well when he goes to the dinner party and they're all talking about what they do. He goes, I'm a teacher. And they're like, oh, what university? And he's like, yeah, high school. But yeah,
I felt that on a deep level.
Totally. But he has earned everything he has, so his knowledge was not like just given to him. And then there's a really big difference with light. That's sort of the story of Aladdin or the genie, right? Like you may have this competency, like Light is a genius, Light is a really good student. He has like a good head on his shoulders from society's viewpoints, all of the like measurables that he has to meet as a kid in Japan. But like when he is given this power, then we have to ask ourselves a completely different question. Like, I feel it's way easier to empathize with Walter White, as much of an asshole as he is, but I think we can all empathize a lot more with like feeling slighted and feeling overshadowed and feeling overlooked and feeling put down and like we failed. Like nobody wants, like you said, Nat, literally nobody wants to fail at the things they attempt. Nobody wants to not be able to provide for their family. Nobody wants to be a burden to their family on their way to their deathbed. And that's like what he's terrified of. That's way more empathetic than, oh, here's the power of a fucking god. What you gonna do with it? You know, like, and then we have to ask ourselves a very different question, which is, what would you do if you were given the genie lamp? What would you wish for? You know, would you wish for nobody to ever go hungry again? Or would you wish for $1 million? Like what, like maybe it'd be $1 billion these days. $1 million might not get you that far, but like what would you wish for, you know? And you really have to ask yourself and be honest about it. It's a harder question than you think. If you could get 3 things, what would they be? Light Yagami, he gets this incredible power. He can now see this demon god Shinigami thing. I think we talked about it on the monkey last night too. There's another human like inherent trait, which is the desire to open Pandora's box, right? Like it would be hard to get that. And just to like, there's going to be a part of you, again, no matter how deep it is, that wants to know if it actually works. And if you were going to find that out, you'd probably like look up the worst person you could think of and you'd write their name and just see if it worked, right?
Yep.
I can think of a couple people that I would write down just to test it out, you know, just to see. But yeah,
gotta see.
What do you think? What do you think, Jeremy, about all that?
Well,
nonsense?
hey, you know, like piggybacking off of that a little bit, following this thread, and I assume it's the white hog talking, but like I feel like, you know, given the power, I could make a difference in this world. You know?
Jeremy's just like, you guys are dancing around this subject.
I assume, look, I know full well, I assume it's the hog talking, but, you know.
Yep.
But, you know, more to the point of, say, the initial question, like, and I obviously agree with Nat and Clay in their assessments, but like nitty gritty nuts and bolts, if you're trying to make a character a genius, either you have to have like a genius level understanding of the subject in which the character happens to be a genius, or the easier way, you start with the end condition and you just walk it back step by step. Yeah. You know, classic mystery rules. Start with the ending, go from there. I assume that's how the whole Light giving up his memories and then getting them back right when it matters the most happens, you know? But it's, you know,
Yeah.
there's very little else to it, and it's most of why I keep telling people that Light is probably not as smart as the show thinks he is.
I do think there's a...
Oh, go for it.
I do think there's a balance too there. We've brought up Stephen King a few times on this show tonight, but he is a true master at this. There's something you can do as an author. There's a level, there's a balance to it where you can get just enough on the page to establish authority. The audience doesn't need to believe that you can cook the meth necessarily, but they need to believe that you know enough that, like, if they did look it up, they could corroborate, like, the majority of what you're saying, right? And I am confident that, like, Vince Gilligan did his fucking homework. He interviewed a lot of people. He might have a background in science. I'm not exactly sure where he comes from.
He maybe did a lot of meth.
He maybe did a lot of meth. I have my doubts about that. He looks like
probably not.
He hasn't,
Long
but he has his
shoots
teeth
on the X-Files. They had to do something.
I mean, how are you doing those things? But yeah, I think that is also part of it, is like there's a balance between establishing enough authority and then making sure you also balance that with how much narrative tension and movement you need to keep the story compelling. And different stories have different balances that they require. Like Death Note is a very logic-centric show, whereas Breaking Bad's very emotional. So I think though they walk similar lines, they have very different balances in that.
Yeah.
I think just to briefly piggyback on that too, to go back to your original question, Travis, of like how you depict genius. I think it is depicted in the obstacle, I would say, because it's kind of what Clay and Jeremy were describing, which kind of cemented this idea for me. You can say a character is a genius and spout out all the ways that they are a genius, but it all comes down to that, the sometimes inaccurate, sometimes very, very accurate rubric of writing, show, don't tell. You can say a character is a genius all you want, but ultimately they then have to meet an obstacle that is worthy of being called a genius if you can overcome that obstacle. And Walter shows it again and again and again, not just with his ability to cook the purest meth New Mexico has ever seen, but in all the scrapes that he gets into and figures out ways to get around them, from melting the bodies with this kind of acid to throwing the fucking explosive at Tio, and like all the little things that he does, and is you start to then, as an audience member, put together, oh shit, he is really smart. He's really, really, really smart.
Yeah.
And similarly, like Light is probably, you're all accurate in saying he's not as smart as he thinks he is, for sure. Because the world around him has a lot of blind spots to the sort of powers that he's able to enact. Like no one can really suss out the kind of game he's playing. He's got way too much of an advantage, but it's really Elle who's like the supernaturally gifted detective. Who, when he starts putting together what Light is doing, that's where you see how smart Light can also be, because they're so well matched. Context is what always defines a character. You can throw so many descriptors at them, but it's their context that really shows you who they actually are. And so the smarter a world you can build around your genius, and then see that person still find a way to come out on top, that's how you depict genius. You don't surround them with idiots, because I don't think anyone in this show is really an idiot, as bumbling as the cops can be sometimes. Like, what the fuck are they supposed to? They're not supposed to. How would they then be like, oh, there must be some sort of magic notebook? Yeah, like they're all they're trying. But I think everyone is pretty, for the most part, smart in this world. He's just got he's got literally a supernatural advantage with fucking with a demon book.
One of my favorite.
Honestly, it's frankly incredible that they noticed a pattern at all with everybody dying of either like natural causes or from accidents. And they're like, it seems like there's a pattern here.
One of my favorite examples of what you just talked about, Nat, is one I haven't referenced on this show yet. I watched it this Christmas break for a school party. Ratatouille. Ratatouille does this so well.
Ratatouille
like,
freaking
it's a
rules,
banger,
man.
but like you just said, it puts this character who's like this magically good chef that happens to be a rat. We can put that aside for a second.
Rats are very skilled and intelligent creatures.
His setting is like in the kitchen, like amongst master chefs. And so like he's proving himself better than all of these people that were like, oh, we're being shown that they're the best. And then I think the finale does it really well, where it's like, and what's his final test? It's this critic that like we're given little nuggets throughout the movie of like, he doesn't approve of anything. Yep. No food can pass his palate. And then that's the finale of like, that shows Remy is the greatest chef in France is, oh, this critic that hates everything is literally transported back to his childhood because this rat's ratatouille is so damn good. And I think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It shows us that Remy is a genius at his cooking.
Yeah, I was actually going to mention at one point during my ramblings that Pixar has a great. It was when Brad Bird kind of took over Pixar. If I'm remembering correctly, it was Brad Bird who put together this list of Pixar's rules, and rules are as worthwhile as they are worthless. Like take them or leave them. But they're the Pixar rules, because Pixar tends to have really well structured stories. They're a very helpful set of rules to just kind of internalize whether you agree with them or not. And the number one rule of Pixar movies was we love a character who's trying, and like that is the arc of every Pixar movie, and kind of most satisfying hero journeys anyway. It's just like a character who is trying. They can be a genius and still try, but you have to give them something that they're trying to overcome or trying to beat, whether it is this, the worst critic in the world or the best detective in the world. Bringing it back to Iago, like that's the thing that we love about Iago is like the moments where we can see his wheels turning. He's not like a character we empathize with because he's just
trying.
But he's trying, and we're like, Iago, that's what you're doing, man.
He's definitely trying to kill him.
Yeah, you fucked Rodrigo's life up. This is great.
Let's do it. Kenneth Branagh's depiction of him, like the turn when he like is laughing and he's like, yeah, go get me some money, and then immediately is just like, I hate them more. like I love that.
I used to do that monologue in competitions when I was a teenager.
Nice.
Thus do I ever make my fool my purse.
We are at 2 hours and 1 minute. I do have one more question if you have the time, Nat, but I don't want to take up too much. You have the
right to refuse.
I'll take one, and I'll even try and
Take
answer
it or
it
leave
concisely, which I have not done thus far.
You have done. I want to talk about a thing that happens a lot in this show, and that's reveals. Reveals are tough, I think. And also so satisfying when they work. And there's many of them that work in this show. Most every sort of genius turn of the deaths and how did Light get away with it are these big reveals that you're like, oh, damn it. How did he do it? Or even some of L's like little setups and traps that don't quite work. It's still cool to see like where he's going with them. So, I want to talk maybe the difference of those like little mini episode reveals that happen, and maybe I can see that in like short fiction being a good comparison. And then when you're building to a long reveal, like what is the difference when you're trying to establish both of those, that both this like we're getting these little snack bite reveals every episode, but also there's this long game that we're playing of like you're gonna really be hammered with the big reveal. So
yeah, it's I think personally I did it most satisfying in When the Wolf Comes Home. Like there's a twist, and then there's an additional twist in the narrative. And I think the lesson I learned doing that might be maybe it's two lessons that are flip sides of the same coin. One is that sometimes the story just tells you, you know, like if you are playing by the rules, which I define as, you know, I like to have a plot. I like to have an outline. I like to know where I'm going, but I also like to respond to the story as it's being told and adjusting as needed. So, you know, having an outline, but also then always feeling very comfortable with then fucking off that outline and just being like, okay, we're going off road and we got to do a new outline, because the story will reveal itself in the telling. And so sometimes a reveal just kind of happens and it surprises you. And I think if it surprises the author, that is usually the most satisfying reveal. If it's a reveal you're trying to implement or put onto the story, that can make it much harder to make it feel organic in the telling of it. It's totally possible. You know, you got to go through revisions and figure out, you know, the ways to kind of mechanically put all the things in place that either distract or support. But if it can just kind of happen organically and surprise you, that's gonna carry over to the audience too. That's gonna be delightfully surprising. And I guess the sort of interior lesson then, or maybe it's just more of an extrapolation of what I've already just said, is that it has to feel grounded in the rules that you have already set. And I think those are the ones that are the most satisfying in Death Note. It's 37 episodes, so I can't remember all of them. And it's been a little while since I watched the whole thing. I don't have the commitment that Clay does, so I did not watch all of this recently. But like there are some reveals where they happen and you're like, fuck, that was so good. Like, you know, I think the Ray Pember stuff and the killing his fiance stuff and, you know, hiding little bits of the Death Note in his watch and then like being able to do things like that. Those are all really satisfying because like the show never comes out and tells us like you can rip a piece of the notebook out and use it outside of the notebook. But like once that happens, you're like, oh, this makes sense. Yeah, of course you could do that too. And or like on the inverse, like L's fake reveal when he's like, here I am, I'm on TV, and then like one of you was saying, I'm forgetting which one, I think it was Clay, that like, oh, that was a ruse, I only aired this broadcast in this one area of Tokyo and now I know where you are. Like those feel fair, and so when the reveal happens, then it's satisfying. There are others where like the audience doesn't have the information going into it, and the reveal happens, and it can still be fun or like a neat twist, but it doesn't have that satisfying sense of setup and punchline, because you know it's one of the many ways that horror or genre fiction is kind of, and I'm including mystery and thriller in this scenario, but that they're all kind of related to the mechanics of humor as well. Like it's all about tension and release and setup and punchline. So any reveal needs to have, as a satisfying punchline, it needs to have a clear setup as well. You know, knock knock, who's there? Banana. Knock knock, who's there? Banana. Knock knock, who's there? Orange. Orange who? Orange, you glad I didn't say banana. Like that. There has to be a logic that gets followed. It can't just be knock knock, who's there? Spider. Spider who? Michelin Man. Like then you're just kind of like, you know, then it's anti-humor, but it's not a satisfying story.
Michelin Man.
Yeah. So
Truly,
like,
yes,
like that is kind of inherent in the rules of satisfying storytelling. I think it can all be found in the same rules as a satisfying joke structure. There's got to be a clear setup if you want to have a satisfying punchline.
I think one of the longest cons I've ever seen was Wheel of Time when, spoiler alert, Varen, I don't know if you've read the books, but one of the Aes Sedai is like revealed as a double agent in the coolest way in book like 8. So you're deep in it. And you just get this like one little page description where it's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
what just happened?
Yeah. Weird. And then you're like, fuck, yeah. Oh my God, I love that.
And
was
it's
a
one of
great
those
moment.
moments where you can like go back and like look at all the little evidence of like, oh shit, yeah, she did that then, and I didn't even see it. And like that setup is established. But Clay,
Yeah, and if it's Death Note, Light will just tell you in his interior monologue the entire story. He'll remind you of how genius he
Just gonna
was
straight up
and how
do
he
that.
set it all up, just in case you didn't catch it because you're not nearly as smart as Light Yagami, you dumb fuck. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot more to add to that. I think that what Death Note specifically does really well is it takes a bunch of those small victories and small nuggets, and it's kind of along the same lines of establishing that competence, but it does it early and then it builds upon it. So early on, for example, we know that Light is smart, and we get the idea that he'll be able to avoid some capture because he very pretentiously explains to Ryuk how he set up his little fake drawer. And he goes, and we also know Light's going to go fucking hard with whatever he decides to do, because not only does he do his little fake drawer, it's not enough to do just that. He's got to like put an incendiary device in there that will be activated and will burn his house down if like he doesn't, if somebody opens it the wrong way. So that's like a lot of actually characterization about Light and about how far he's going to go to hide himself and to disguise his intentions and his means of executing these people. And it's immediately counts genius because that shortly thereafter we get the airing of the false execution of L, and he's like so confident right before that. He's like, it's Japan. There's millions of people here. There's no way he is going to find me. And almost immediately the first thing that happens when he meets Elle is like, I know where you live, bitch. I'm coming, you know? If Kira didn't have the supernatural advantage, which was endowed to him, he wouldn't have had a chance against Elle. He'd have been caught inside of a week. And we kind of know that. And I think that's another layer to fiction that the speculative elements can add, that lovers of speculative fiction seek it out for that reason. We like how, at least I do, I love the way that speculative elements can personify luck, can personify spiritual intervention, can personify pieces of the human condition that we either can't, won't, don't want to look at, acknowledge, feel. And I think that the Ryuk and the Shinigami and the Death Note in this series do a really good job of putting that on the page for all of us to connect to in a more like visceral, sensory way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Maybe that was just a bunch of adjectives stacked on top of each other. Yeah. It's entirely possible.
Who knows? You know, everybody just watch it back and let us know how many adjectives are there and like make sense.
Light Yagami, maybe you can explain it to me.
Yeah, Light. Just get in the comments.
In the next episode. It has to be in the next
episode.
Absolutely. The adjective happened in this one, so the explanation is next. Jeremy?
Yes.
And of course, explain to us how it was all realistically a part of your plan all along.
Yes.
But like, and I think, like Clay is saying, like, there's a lot in this show of like just straight up explaining, like, well, this is obviously what I did. I'm like, that's the obvious way through this? Okay. All right. So I don't think, like, when it comes to reveals, that this show is as strong as it is in some other areas. I think it's very strong in its characterization of, like, Light and Elle and, you know, the Shinigami and everything else. But, like, when it comes to just straight up reveals, like, I know this is how I feel, and it kind of, and it is kind of piggybacking off of everything everybody else has said, but like for me, for a reveal to be satisfying, it needs to feel like shocking in the moment, but also inevitable given everything that's led up to it. Almost like a Chekhov's gun or something, where like the setup needs to be there, like it needs to make sense with the characters. And you know, in Death Note, it's almost all of the time it's like retroactively Light just going like, yes, and this was my plan all along.
Listen, he's playing by Dungeon Master rules, okay?
Yeah, for sure. He does a lot of retconning, for sure.
He does a lot of retconning.
Mug bastard.
You have a whole plan, and your characters take the tunnel they weren't supposed to take, and you're like, I meant for that tunnel to lead here the whole
Of
time.
course.
Yes. I will say and Nat has touched on that a couple times in the episode, but sometimes I think Death Note does that, and sometimes they don't. Like, I didn't feel they did it adequately, and I think it's because it was compressed. It's probably in the manga, but the whole switching of the Death Note pages to a fake Death Note, and then somehow L got a real one back into his hands. They did like a quadruple switch thing, and it was like that's why Light was so certain he won. He didn't, but it was pretty like retconning when they were like, this is how it happened. But there's instances where they did it really well, like and you've brought this up multiple times, Nat, I think because you recognize this as well, but the 𝘕𝘰𝘵𝘮𝘕 exchange, when Light chooses to forget about the Death Note, he also exchanges it with Ryuk, and then he has Ryuk hand it to Ren, and then Ren is kind of like, what's he up to? So and we see Ren moving throughout the story in the early parts of season 2, and there's a lot of indications as to that plan existing prior to Light's reveal of it, but we don't get the full comprehension until Light does that thing where he tells us the whole plan after it plays itself out, and Ren, writes L's name in the Death Note and then dies. But that was actually pretty indicative. I didn't notice it on the first watch, but on the second watch, I knew it was coming. So I was like, oh yeah, there's actually a lot of hints of Ren and the Death Note exchange is happening. And it was actually really well done. But I do think, conversely, it wasn't so much at the end. I feel like that was a little bit shortcut, but I don't know.
That reminds me of another element that we haven't even touched on yet, which is the Shinigami eyes.
Yeah, right.
The reason I bring that up is because variable is another great element to have satisfying plots and satisfying misdirects and stuff like that. If you can have clearly defined rules and a clearly defined set of possible variables, whether it's someone getting the Shinigami eyes or, touching the notebook and being able to see a Shinigami, or, just any clearly defined parameters. It reminds me a lot of, I know we're all thinking this. We've all been thinking this whole time. But it is one of, I think, the best sort of shows to watch from a structural standpoint when you want to really grasp satisfying structure, which is Seinfeld. Seinfeld was absolutely fucking genius at
totally.
Here's your A story, here's your B story, here's a C story, and by the end of the episode, all three of these things are going to bump into each other in some way or other. They're all clearly defined, and you will not be able to predict how they're going to interact, but you do know that they're going to interact, and because they've been so clearly set up in Act 1, when they collide in Act 3, it's going to be eminently satisfying and eminently unpredictable. And this, when Death Note is working well, and you've got Misa with the Shinigami eyes, and you've got Light knowing all these inside baseball moves with the Shinigami note and rules and stuff like that, and you've got L being all genius and shit like that. When you watch those variables collide, then you're like, oh fuck, this is so good. Yeah. And if one or two of those things falls apart, then you're kind of like, well, that's plot. It becomes plot. And you're like, okay, that's how this plot is moving.
Then you just need a light interior monologue to clear it all up for you.
Yeah. This is what I wanted to do this whole time.
You may be asking yourself why that didn't make sense. Let me tell you, it's because you're stupid.
I recently rewatched Band of Brothers, and I think I loved that they did there's one A plot for 10 episodes, and it's Dick Winters. And then every episode has a little we're going to introduce a new soldier that's going to teach us about the little unit, but this is about Dick Winters. And then episode 5 is all a Dick Winters episode that bridged that. Very cool.
That's why they say Band of Brothers is the Seinfeld of HBO shows.
100%. Very same. Structurally, maybe.
I've heard them say that.
What's the deal with these Nazis?
Very smart people are saying that. Yeah.
I have one more nerdy classics thing, Nat. It's not a question, but I just had to say, I loved that you said you have to believe that the character has the want and the expertise. You can't just be told, it has to be shown. My biggest problem with the Iliad, rereading it as an adult, was that Ares, we are told, is the god of war. And then every time he's in a battle with his sister, he gets his ass kicked.
Yeah, Ares
Like,
is a
by the
little
end-
bitch.
By the end of that
he's the
poem,
god
I was
of
like,
getting his
Ares
ass
is a
handed to him.
pussy.
He even gets his ass kicked by Wonder Woman. What the fuck, Ares?
Like every time.
Get it together, bro.
Ares.
I don't think I've seen Ares win a fight in literature, and I'm
Well,
like,
this is why Homer could only write 2 books. He's pathetic.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just he's got no talent.
Yeah,
Got
he's
no
a hack.
What a hack.
What
Anyway,
a hack.
Who hit
all I
Homer? No last name given.
That's the same amount of hits as Cinderella. Get it together, Homer.
Right?
Come on.
Smash Mouth had more hits than that.
Jeez. Yeah, well, I'm glad we got
No
that
comment,
sorted
Smash.
out. Let's move along here. We got one more thing to sort out before we let Nat Cassidy go. Nat, we like to rate things on this show, and we don't rate them in nearly as logical a way as Light Yagami does in his interior monologues. No, we rate them by how many drinks or substances of your choice do you need to enjoy Death Note to the fullest extent. Those can be whatever you want, however much of them you would like. Travis, what do you think? How many would you have needed to get past Misa? And
I don't
to
think-
continue.
okay, that's exactly the rating I was going to give. Is when does Misa come in? I wonder. Like
Pretty
3/4
early.
through season 1,
Yeah.
halfway.
Yeah, pretty early actually. Maybe
Yeah.
episode 7 or 8. It's not as late as you think.
Okay, I think I got pretty far then. I got at least to the end of season 1 and for some reason stopped. But anyway, I think you're going to get maybe those 7 episodes, and every time this is going to be bad. Every time there's an interior light monologue that explains everything, that every single part of his plan and what he wanted to do, waterfall.
No.
Oh, boy.
And then by the time you get to
Trying to kill
Misa,
people?
yeah,
Jeez
by the time you get
Louise.
to Misa, you'll be like, I'm good. This is great. And you'll move on. Maybe
Travis,
fall-
can't you just write some names in a death note?
That's what I'm doing. That's
It'd be a
exactly
lot
what
more
I'm doing.
efficient.
I'm doing that right now. So if you want to play on Death Note mode for Death Note, waterfall every time lights like, this is how it happened. So
For God's
Travis-
sake.
Travis's version of the Death Note gives you psoriasis instead of a heart attack. But same end result. For me, I think this is a fun one to smoke weed to more than drink. It's a pretty long journey. It's pretty drawn out. But I think if you smoke the right strain and the right amount of it, you might be able to like get yourself in the mind of Light. You'll get yourself to that stoner at the party place where you think you can pontificate upon the workings of the world and the universe, and you think you have a great point, and you wake up in the morning being like, the fuck did we talk about? That's where you need to get. You'll really enjoy Death Note if you could get yourself to that place and just kind of ride it and follow along on Light's journey. And you know, you'll continue to root for L, and you'll continue to be disappointed, but it'll be a fun ride.
Yes.
Jeremy?
I think you're on the right track. Like, you'll definitely want to pick the correct substance. You want to feel like you are as smart as Light thinks that he is.
Exactly.
So, exactly. So pick your substance accordingly and ride it throughout the series. And then, you know, also just a straight shot of something whenever Light does explain his plan. You don't have to waterfall it. I'm not trying to kill any of you that you know of. So that's it, you know? And it'll just help you ride through this explanation, and you'll be like, of course, I'd have done the same thing because you're feeling so
Indeed.
smart.
Also, if you are smoking the amount of weed that I estimate you will need, and you have a sweet tooth, feel free to indulge in that sweet tooth here and just eat. I'd love to see the numbers, just like you found, of how many people Kira killed. I would love to see the donuts and candies and
The
cakes.
Death Note diet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like how many metric
Definitely
tons
get
of
the
fucking
cake.
sugar does L eat on the screen?
And
'cause it's a
still-
lot.
and still
Yeah,
remain
bro
a
gave
wet
me
cigarette
secondhand
boy.
diabetes. It's crazy.
And still remain a wet cigarette boy. I don't know how he keeps that thinking.
He does remain a wet cigarette boy.
He has a young man's metabolism. I remember that.
Yeah.
That's all it
He's
is.
Timothy Chalamet all over that.
Yeah, except I think Elle respects the opera. He's a smart man. He's a smart man.
Yeah.
Nat Cassidy.
Well, I like your idea, Clay, of smoking weed for this, but I would have a horrible time with that because weed gives me very bad time dilation, so things seem even longer, and that would make some of these scenes interminable. So I can't do that. I would say it's 36, 37 episodes. I think half of them are really good. You know, like there's maybe even more than half. Maybe it's like 60% of these episodes, for all their annoying quirks, for all the Misa of it all and the internal monologue of it all, it's still really good. And then there's some stuff you got to get through. So I'm thinking like a sort of short-term hallucinogen, like a DMT that gives you like a 20-minute trip, you know? And so you can just kind of blast through the soggy bits. Once you start to feel it really like starting to creak and get like really convoluted and boring, the whole businessman subplot, like just hallucinate just a little bit and you'll be like, I don't know if any of this is actually even happening. And then you'll sober up and you'll be like, all right, great. I'm back on board. Let's find out what our buddy Light is doing. So you can do that. You can keep that up pretty well without it probably damaging your brain too much. And then you're going to have a great time. You're going to find no flaws whatsoever.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I think that's a great point. You could go ahead and skip the whole, as soon as Elle slaps that handcuff on, just fast forward.
Tune in, drop
6,
out.
7, 8, 9, 10 episodes on the DMT and have a good time. Before we let you go, Nat, last thing, please tell the Fermented Folks one more time who you are, what you do, where they can find you. And again, thank you so much for coming on Fermented Fiction tonight.
Oh my God. Thank you guys. Thanks for putting up with my very pretentious rambling. I'm Nat Cassidy. You can find me pretty much anywhere. I'm a post and ghoster, so I'm on all the sites, but I also run away from them very quickly. But sometimes you can catch me. If I'm there, I might respond to a thing, or I will respond weeks later. So I'm on Instagram and Threads as Cat Nassity, and Blue Sky is Nat Cassidy. The other ones I'm on, but I don't really check that much. And I've got a new book coming out in May 5th. It's called I Know a Place, and it is 13 stories, one novella, and just full of all sorts of nasty goodies that I think you will very much enjoy. So please pre-order it. Please.
All
please.
right.
Do that. It is the best way you can support your favorite authors. Always, always, always pre-order. If you're excited about this next Nat Cassidy book, as we all are, go pre-order that motherfucker.
It's also fun as a reader because you forget that you ordered a book. And
Yeah, and you're like, oh!
A box shows up on your door and you're like, oh shit, I got a book.
And what's really great is if you do that multiple times.
Yeah, absolutely.
So please do that multiple times.
Yeah,
Do it a
go
bunch.
pre-order Johnny Gensler's book, pre-order Rachel Harrison's new book, pre-order all the guest new books, and you'll
Buy
have
5
books
of each.
just showing up all throughout the summer, and it'll be glorious. It'll be
Then
glorious.
just wait like 3-4 weeks before you return them. Just hold on to them for that return window just for a little while.
let the author enjoy the
lists-
sale.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or you could go give them to a used bookstore, you know? You could put them in a little
Hey,
free
even
library.
better.
Do whatever you got to do. Spread the love.
Death
Spread
Note
the
is a
love.
story about how magical it is to find a book and how it can
Yeah.
change your life. So do that
And
for
the
someone
lives
else.
of roughly 300,000 other people. And by change, we mean terminate. That's a form of change.
It's a change.
Yeah.
It is. It is just about time we make that exact type of change to this show because we've been on for 2 hours and 30 minutes. Thank you so much, Nat, for being on the show. Thank you, Fermented Folks, for joining us. We've been Travis and 𝘰𝘭𝘧 and Jeremy Hudson. And just one more time, please do like, comment, and subscribe. We are an AD produced venture. We will keep making this show for free. You cannot stop us. But if you want to help us, you could go to our Patreon and you could give us money. And then we'll be able to make this show even better somehow. I don't know how that will be possible, but we have all kinds of options on the Fermented Fiction Patreon that you could be a part of. A bigger part of the conversation. You could help choose future episodes. You could help choose future guests. You could talk to future guests. You can do all kinds of cool shit. Go over there. What are you waiting for? Probably me to shut up and go away. We're going to do that now. Thank you. We'll see you next week with 𝘔𝘰𝘭𝘧 𝘊𝘰𝘮𝘦. Goodbye.
Bye.
Later.